Let's get it.
Oh my God.
What's going on, people? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. We have some special guests in the house for our Saturday Night Live. We have the most infamous, wonderful Beatrice and Daria from Reality TV Cringe. I'm very excited, very excited. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
We are so excited.
Yeah.
I know. It's been a long time coming. But the one thing I will say, you guys have the most wonderful, unique intro. If you want to let the people know what it is, as far as like their wife and their kids.
Our disclaimer.
Yes.
So we have to issue a disclaimer. Please hide your wife and hide your kid. A politically incorrect podcast. We are stupid people objectively, and we use profanity.
Yep.
So if you're sensitive, you might want to find yourself another dumpster, baby.
Fantastic. See, and this is what we're talking about, folks. So this might get out of hand, just so you know. Like we're not planning on it, but it might happen. So I want to be very honest about it. But they have a fantastic channel. So if you guys want to check it out, make sure I put it in the link down below so you guys can click over to their YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and like it, all that good stuff. They do an excellent show. They not only talk about Sister Wives, they talk about other reality channels. They also have a Patreon that you can subscribe to, and that way you can get all of their content, which is uncensored, unfiltered, and completely off the rails. So that is available. So how long have you guys been watching Sister Wives?
Oh God, since I was 12.
12? Okay.
I picked up Sister Wives around the catfish era. Like I just came on the scene and there was a banana in somebody's mouth, and there was a whole catfish situation, and I was intrigued, and I started watching from there. But right now we are currently kind of going through a rewind era. We're going through the early season, so I'm learning a lot, and I'm loving it.
Oh, okay. And that's kind of one of the things too that I was doing, because I was familiar with the Sister Wife storyline, but I didn't really start watching it until about season 16, when Christine was like, I'm out, I'm done, it's over, I'm tired of this stupid stuff. Got me trapped here in Arizona, I'm gonna go spend time with my family. And I was like, okay, that show's for me. And then I started watching it. And then I think it was after they finished 16, I went back and watched it from the first season all the way through. And now that we are where we are, I think that it's very interesting that when they first started this whole dance with us, they came out and represented themselves one way, and now they're in a completely different position. And it's always interesting to go back to what they were saying before.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
They were straight up lying before.
Right.
And I don't know. For me, it would be more interesting in terms of television and consuming content as an audience member if you didn't lie and actually just told the truth. Like if we knew about your finances and we knew about the jealousy amongst the wives from the beginning, like that would have been very compelling to me. And we often say, like, Sister Wives, for such a intriguing show, it's really very boring. It's all of us out here in the audience, like looking at the layers and the subtext and trying to figure out with our raccoon monocles, like what's really going on here? Because some about this isn't right, which is also like what keeps me watching.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because I think that's actually a very interesting point on two fronts. The first front, when you watch this show, and especially where they are now, so much of it seems so heavily produced by the cast members because they just want to tell the side of the story that makes themselves look good. So we have the competition where for the last time we really had a Robyn Kody story was maybe when he had the coronavirus, and it was supposedly, almost put him on his deathbed. And prior to that, The only real Robyn Kody story we had was the adoption story. Everything from that point, like from the adoption story to the COVID thing, it was all Kody and Robyn reacting to the other wives and their lives and what was going on with them and how it was negatively affecting them and destroying their whole situation.
Right.
So I think that that's one of the things that they have to actually improve, especially now that they don't have the crutch of having those other women around. So
I think that's really true, and I think it's not just Sister Wives. I don't know about you, but I watch like a lot of different reality TV. I'm a big Bravo girl, I like Bravo, but like a lot of these franchises really suffer from people overproducing themselves and just being so aware of the camera and like setting up their own shots and like meeting before the season begins so that they can figure out what they're going to do, what's their storyline going to be. So it's not authentic, and so it's not as interesting. And I think Sister Wives really suffers from that. It's just like, ugh, is this what we're going to be doing for 5 more years? I mean, I don't think I can hang on unless you tell me the truth, unless I can see some of that gritty stuff that I'm so interested in. But they just year after year, Sukiyana after Sukiyana, it's just the same thing
right,
over and over.
right. Well, let's pull over. Well, because I think that that's part of the problem, though. Because I watch like I do the 90 day, I do the and I'll say this, like 90 day to like all their iterations to Sister Wives. Part of the problem, I think, is that after they've been on the show for a few seasons, they start to get it in their minds that they're the stars of the shows and that they're a lot bigger than they actually are. So they start looking at it from the respect of, I'm a TV star and I need to produce this so that I can get the most traction from this social media outlet or this media outlet or media vehicle. As opposed to, like you said, just coming out being yourself, which actually would make the storylines make a lot more sense. Because when you're trying to tell a story to make yourself look good, a lot of times you're going to miss the major components that actually makes the story make sense. Because a lot of what they say doesn't make sense, you know.
And it's absolutely fabricated. It's not true at all, which is why it doesn't make sense. You can't make 2 and 2 equal 5, and I'm going to notice.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like with reality TV, there's always like an element that is a little bit produced, but it's these people that go on the show that think that they're the star, and then they get that like ego on them and they're like, oh my God, everybody loves me. Let me go crazy. And then we can tell as the audience members, like, we know you faking. We know you're lying. Like, we don't care about this. I don't want to watch this if you're just going to be lying through your teeth the entire time and feeding me baptismal storylines or we're burying a time capsule. God. Like, I don't care.
Right.
I've noticed though, like on a couple of shows, I watch RuPaul's Drag Race, which used to be just savage back in the day, just like brutal drama, which I loved, you know. And then we kind of went into a season of very politically correct and everybody's kumbaya, you know, everybody's loving each other and taking care of each other. But now we're kind of starting to go back to drama in the workroom and lots of shade and stuff like that, which I think people actually really want. I think that we can have a balance. It doesn't need to be so freaking toxic, you know, and hurtful, but it can also be a little bit more edgy and a little bit of fun. But like Sister Wives has absolutely none of that. And I don't really know what production is doing. Like, I don't know the product, because sometimes, well, you tell me, James, sometimes when you're watching, it feels like production is on our side because they'll show little aspects of Kody and Robyn, and it's almost like they're giving us like their actual opinion. But then the next week, it's like platforming Aurora's baptism and Robyn goes to the church and no, but I'm snoring. I can't take it. So I'm just, I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it.
Well, because I think it's a combination of both. One, I think that they're overly producing themselves, especially Robyn and Kody, because they don't want to reveal anything about themselves. And I think that that's most noted, even in the disagreement that they had out in the snow, where they were like carved out the little space where they could argue and they would stay perfectly in frame. First of all, that's not how couples argue or disagree. Like, anybody who's ever been in a relationship knows that when you get in an argument with your people, you're not standing out there, tell me what you think.
Let me call my husband in for a second and let's ask him, because that's not how it goes down. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yes, king. You got it, queen. Like, nobody is doing that kind of conversation. You know, That's the first thing. The second thing, if you notice, even in that argument, there weren't any heavy allegations. Like there wasn't really even a disagreement. Because if you think about it, like all Robyn said was, you need to see your kids more. And Kody turned around and said, I'm trying to see them more, but they don't want to have nothing to do with me. Oh, well, like that's not them actually. One, I don't know what you're arguing about if that's the case. Two, if you're going to argue about that, you're going to lay it out. And it will be a completely, that conversation for somebody who is especially a non-custodial parent or step parent arguing with the non-custodial parent about their ability or willingness to be involved with their children, that conversation will either be non-existent or it will be very heated. Like I don't think there's like a middle ground where you're going to say something, but you don't give a shit what happens, after you get finished talking about it.
Well, what it's giving to me is dumb people trying to be Machiavellian. Like, they'll never know if we stand outside in the snow and I ask you to please love your family more. They'll never figure it out that this is just us trying to rehab our image. It's like they're not super intelligent in that way. So like this is the best that they can do. And it's almost like if production was on their side, wouldn't production be saying like, well, we can actually see the spot where you want to stand and have this argument, or we could actually go through the archives and see how everything you're saying right now is untrue, but like production lets them do it, which I think is very curious. They let Robyn and Kody look a fool.
Oh, of course they do, because I think they hate them now. I think after everything that they've done, they're like, oh my God, these people suck. But they also know that in a way, Robyn and Kody's issues and their bullshit makes them money still, because people are tuning in every week to watch them make a fool out of themselves, even though we all hate them and we hate them so much. We're still all tuning in because we're like, what are they going to do next? Are they going to show us their mansion? Like, what's going to happen?
And why aren't you showing us your mansion? And we've had episode after episode just speculating about what's in that basement, hoodie. Like we've got obviously American Girl dolls.
Yeah, obviously.
We have a Dickensian village for Christmas. We have Amethyst Towers. What else is in that basement? Like it gets us curious in that way, but I just don't know like any Gen Zers who are interested to watch Sister Wives, any millennials, anybody new coming to the franchise, like what would be of interest watching these literal fools make fools of themselves on television?
Yeah.
It isn't right. If I were producing it, I'd be doing it a lot differently.
Well, because I think that's an interesting point, just from the respect of, if you're coming into this show, it begs the question of why are you coming to this show? Originally, the thing that had everybody interested in Sister Wives was the fact that they were a polygamous family who were opening the doors to people who were not familiar with polygamy. But now, because all the wives have subsequently left, and he's basically in a monogamous relationship, Kody is not, Kody and Robyn's relationship just isn't that interesting as monogamous for a monogamous to want to watch them. You know what I mean? It's just, what is it about them? And as far as the production team, I think it's more or less the fact that they have a new production team, because the old producer left and the new it's a new producers, and probably the editors were like, okay, we were forced to do something before, so screw them. Now, when she says, I didn't ride my motorcycle crazy. What are you talking about? Yeah, you rode it across the thing and I thought you were doing it again. I never did that. And they cut right to her doing it. Like that's like, I don't know what to tell you. You need to make friends with people in that editing room because they are screwing you up.
Well, wasn't the former head producer like his actual friend or something? Like, didn't he live nearby? I mean, weren't they somewhat?
They were like neighbors, I think.
Neighbors, right? And so I think he was caping a lot for Kody and Robyn, and so we've got somebody new. But at the same time, we've got new production that would maybe connote we've got a new vision. Why Sukiana then? Why are we going to do 4 tell nothings with just multiple softballs to Kody Brown, who gets to have like a tantrum because he's the baby? He's the baby. Right. He needs his diaper changed. And so I'm going to stop you right there, Suki. I'm not going to let you make this point. Like, I just don't know why you wouldn't switch up some really key elements of the show.
Right. Well, what I'm hoping for, because if you notice in the trailers for the tell-all, they didn't issue what Suki's response was. They just showed Kody cutting her off. Now,
True.
historically, you're 100% right. He cuts her off. She shuts it down. But what I'm hoping for, and I've been saying this, like what I'm hoping for is that they give, like I know Kody and Robyn are trying to get their redemption arc. I hope that they actually allow Sukiana to get her redemption arc this season by allowing her, take her off the chain. Like tell the production team to step aside, let her do what she do.
They
And
won't.
yeah, they probably won't.
They won't.
But if they say something crazy, let her go. Like what? You know, and if they want to get up, you keep pressing them on the questions. And if y'all want to get up and leave, that's fine. But what we're going to do in your segment, we're just going to show what we want to show and editorialize about it. And you get to watch it whenever you see it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like when you think about the Vanderpump Rules reunion with Sandoval happening, Ariana and Sandoval break up, being big, huge news story. Everybody's invested. We get to have a reunion where everybody's sitting in the same room, and we get to see this holy rage from Ariana. We get to hear her actually take him down and see him squirm. And it was so highly rated, and everybody needed it in their souls. We needed Tom Sandoval be taken down. What a worm with a mustache. And so the audience needs the same thing for the sister wives. Like, why wouldn't you want to put all of these adults into a room together so that as soon as Kody says some mad, crazy shite out of his mouth, Mary's right there to say, like, why did you call my friend a bitch though? Like, let's talk about that right now. But like, they can't handle it. They're so paper thin. Their skin is so thin that we can't have any criticism. And I think the more they coddle Kody and Robyn here, just the more people are going to be rage quitting this series, which is sad. But I think even now the writing's on the wall because they're trying to bring in other shows to maybe replace Sister Wives. And I actually think we probably need to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, because you have that, that's what I was saying about that whole poly family.
Yeah.
Because that airs like exactly, I think Sister Wives airs that Sunday. Poly Family airs that next week. Like they're kicking that off. And that show is a hot damn mess.
Are you going to watch?
Yeah, I want to check it out.
We're going to watch. We're going to watch.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We can get back together. We can talk about it.
Absolutely.
I know that show is going to be redonkulous. Like, for those who aren't familiar, you have basically two couples who decided they're going to have relationships with each other. And like most people who try to engage in this, and this is one of my pet peeves with TLC, because there are people who can make these types of relationships work. Well, maybe, I don't know. Work is relative, I guess.
Beatrice doesn't believe that.
Yeah. They could, you know, it's all relative. Like, is it healthy? Maybe not. But are they better suited to do it? And I think that the people that they get for a lot of these shows, they aren't even suited to try or make the attempt to engage in these types of relationships, which makes them a hot mess to begin with. Like, don't open up your relationship. If you can't stand to have your husband or wife or significant other talk to somebody in the mall, or have the waitress bring him a cup of water, or, you know, pull a seat out for her, or walk by and look at her. If you can't handle that, you probably can't handle them getting phone calls that go off to a night creep out where they're going to, you know, wind up getting slammed out. And you sitting there by yourself at home twiddling your thumbs, imagining what's happening to her.
Right.
Like, you're just not ready for that. But most of the people they get on these types of shows, those are the type of people they get. Well, but yeah, they added two families, and they're two whole families.
I know.
So these people have kids too,
and they don't know who the daddy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they alternate.
That's right.
They jumping in and out of bed with each other, so they don't know. Like, you know, they in there shooting the club up, and then we don't know who's the father. And then eventually, I think that they find out, they get an inclination, or they find out who the dad is to the kids.
I think like one of the women wants to like step out of the quad polycule as well.
That's
and
messy.
And there's like there's a fifth person. Like the premise of this is absolute gold.
It's amazing.
It's just whether TLC can pull it off and do it in a way that is not overproduced. I feel like if you just put cameras in the house and let them do their polycule stuff, like that would be fantastic. But that's just not what it's going to be. But we will give it a try, most definitely. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's and it's a lot of things, because I think that that's an excellent point too, as far as TLC's production team. Like, I do have concerns about it because they start out with a fantastic story premise, but then it becomes questionable whether they can land a plane or not. Because they start out like, oh, this is going to be insane, but then they just, oh, well, we want to have this person look better than that person, and this person should be matched off with that. No, let them do what they do, because the drama is already built in, and they'll find their disagreements in their situation, because it's a messy situation. It's I don't know. This is crazy hard. And especially if you're a person who can't manage one relationship, like a monogamous relationship, you probably shouldn't involve yourself in polycules, polygamy, polygyny, plural relationships, open like you're just not that person. You know,
I don't know if there is a person.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there is a person. I mean, some people think that they can make it work, and maybe they have agreements and stuff, and it works out, But to your point, though, James, about like the producers and everything with these shows, like, are they going to be able to land the plane? It's like what they did with Seeking Brother Husband. I don't know if you checked that out, but it was a good premise at first, because it was all about polyandry, like it's reverse polygamy. The woman has a bunch of husbands, and it's crazy. But then a few episodes in, and you find out that they're all just polyamorous people, and they all screw in. They're all dating each other, and it's not actually real polyandry. So it's based on a lie. It's like, I hope with Polyfamily, it'll be more real and crazy, because it's gonna be crazy. I mean, their dynamic seems really messy, but yeah, we'll see how the producers actually follow through with.
But we're here for the trash. Like, if it's trashy, we're consuming it.
Yeah,
right. We're watching it.
Absolutely.
Because even with the the ability to do it, I think that there's a for most people, I think that there's a pair bonding which occurs. And so you bond yourself to the people that you're with. And for folks who I think would be able to do it, they just don't have that peace. No shot on them or anything like that. It's not good or bad. It just is what it is. Like, I just don't think that they have that peace. Like, they just walking around, and they don't necessarily bond with people on that emotional level.
Yeah.
And that's what gives them the ability to do it. Now, with that being said, I think that that's a very, 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 if that person actually exists, that's a very, 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 very small percentage of the human population that could do it. Whereas most people, they're looking more or less at what they're going to get out of it. So, yeah, I'm down with, opening up the relationship, because I'm thinking about all the tail I'm getting, but I'm not thinking about what's going to happen to my partner and what they're going to be doing.
Very transactional.
That's where the problem usually starts. Because what do you mean you going out Friday night? I don't have nothing to do Friday.
Right.
I'm going to be sitting in the house by myself.
But if there's no actual real emotional love connection, then it's probably easier to enter into arrangements. And I can see reasons beyond just like tail and sex, like finances, or like we can pool our money, and we can buy a nice house, and we can have a bunch of kids and live on a farm, and like we could live in a certain way. And if I don't really love you, I'll be able to manage that. But like, how long can you actually do that until you catch actual feelings with at least one of them? And then that kind of takes us right back to Kody, because I think Kody believed he could do it. I think in the beginning, season 1, 2, 3, I think Kody optimistically believed in the lifestyle and in the tenet of polygamy. I think the reason they lied so much was because they thought they were doing something in service to their religion and in service to this tenet that they had. And so they didn't want to show the ugly side, because they didn't want to deter people away from it. But then the faith starts to falter, and you start to show favor, and the cracks start to appear, and then the faith starts to go. And then by the time we're at season 19, we're out here calling people terrible names these are the mothers of your children. You're even calling your own children terrible names. And it's all just a terrible display. It's really a terrible display. And it's so unfortunate and entertaining.
Right.
It's entertaining.
It's a beautiful disaster.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm looking.
Well, because here's what I think, like especially with regard to like Kody and the OG3, and this is no disrespect to the OG3, but I think there is a point where you can look at Kody's relationship with them, as we talked about, like, you know, when you enter into these relationships, if you don't have that connection, it's a lot easier for you to spread your time out. It becomes very mechanical, very scheduled, very, you know, this is my duty. This is what I have to do in order for me to be a good husband. But then when you have that open relationship, or you have that marriage where you don't really care about the people you're in a relationship with, and you meet somebody and you actually start caring about the person that you meet, a la Robyn, then that's where you have him showing favoritism and showing that his preferences on who he would rather spend time with. And I think that that's where the difficulty starts to come in, because now you're breaking your word. You're not doing what the deal is. The deal is I'm supposed to spend once a week at each one of the wives' houses, but I'd rather be at the one I really like. And that's where it starts to get super selfish and it becomes very problematic.
Yeah. And at that point, you don't even have the integrity of the schedule. Like, if what we're really doing here is like an organized method to take care of the kids and take care of everybody's finances, at this point, with the favoritism, you're not even doing that. So soon the wives are going to have problems with you. I just wish that we would have seen these women stand up for themselves a lot sooner. Like my girl, Janelle, she just strikes me as a very strong, steady force. She's down for her kids. She wants to take care. And she's also down for the family structure. The way she was completely shat upon and how she walks away with virtually nothing. Like, I want to hear Janelle in the year of our Lord 2025 on an interview with people.com or whatever, talking about that. And also, I feel like there's this inherent responsibility that these OG women have to speak very truthfully and frankly about the way that they were literally financially abused, and maybe abused. I mean, allegedly, I don't know. I just something I sniff sometimes in the dumpster.
Right.
Like, talk about this, share that candidly with the people who have been watching you for 12 years and who bought your shit from the beginning. Like, tell them the truth so nobody else is led into this lifestyle. This really pisses me off, and I don't mean to filibuster, but it does piss me off about Christine, because Christine was one of the biggest cheerleaders for polygamy. She was the one that got real sensitive and hurt if anybody criticized the lifestyle. She was gung-ho as far as we could tell. And now all of a sudden you got a tattoo on your titty. You're having fornication with David Woolley. You're living a completely different lifestyle. And yes, we can infer that your faith has changed and that, you know, you've got a new set of beliefs and values, but why wouldn't you talk as hard about that or as openly and candidly about that as you did about polygamy when you believed in it? It's really unfair to the viewer. To me specifically, personally, I am offended.
Right. For you, because you were right there at the cusp. You were ready to be we ready to open this up.
Absolutely. Yes.
Bring in more sister wives. That's what I need in my life. Just jealousy and anger. It'll keep you young. Keep your skin nice and fresh.
Is that what does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah, because you'll be red hot so many times, you know what I mean, pissed off. You know, the anger will keep you going.
That's right.
But I do think, like, I agree with that, because I've said before, like, one of the scenes that actually kind of really gets me every time I think about it, I think I talked about it last week, was actually when they went to UNLV and they had a conversation with Colleen and other people for anti-polygamy, and they roasted them. Like, oh, we came for the debate. And the Brown family showed up to argue. These people showed up to tell their stories. The Brown family showed up to defend polygamy, and everything that they said, basically the Brown family came out and said, you guys are lying about it, and that's just your experience, because this isn't how polygamy is. But that was something that happened to them. And if we're going to listen to your sunshiny rose-colored glasses version of polygamy, we also need to hear about the dark side of polygamy. And I think that that would be fair. And especially if you find yourself in a situation where years later you look back at your life and say, you know what? They were right. They were absolutely right. I was being taken advantage of financially. I wasn't having my needs met emotionally, sexually, spiritually, physically. I was just left behind and abandoned. They were right. It's hard to watch everybody come out and do the self-help thing,
Mm,
but nobody is willing to talk about their losses. Like if you're going
mhm.
to talk about self-help, you have to be willing to talk about your losses and expose that as a possibility. Like, guys, this is what happened to me, and this is how I overcame it. You
Mhm.
can't come out and say, "Yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best who ever did it. I'm wonderful. I'm amazing, and you should buy my book and come to my Worthy Up classes."
Oh my God.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like just a little bit hypocritical from all of them because, especially in the earlier seasons, they were so pro polygamy and they were always making references back to Warren Jeffs and how he was so terrible in the FLDS. And oh, they're not like us, though. We're great. That's
Mhm.
not what real polygamy is. And it's like, no, the reality is that a lot of polygamous groups are pretty like that. I mean, especially the FLDS was so
Oh,
big. It was
yeah.
such a huge thing. Like, and I know that in the earlier seasons, the whole premise was to kind of advertise that their family was good and that they weren't evil in any way. But
Mhm.
then the reality is now that all of this has been happening over the
Mhm.
years, and we're just gonna like
Mm,
blow over it
rug
and we're just
sweep
not going to
it.
talk about it, and then we're going to have self-help books and Mary's going to do Worthy Up
This
but then not talk about it at
subject
all.
makes me
Right.
apoplectic that Mary is out here with her Worthy Up courses. I mean, and I want her to get her bag. I want her to write the book, but like only if the book is going to tell the whole truth, not if it's going to be a bunch of platitudinal nonsense about how, she pulled herself up by her bootstraps and how you can do that. Like, no, that's so 2015, 2016. And to your point, James, like, I don't want it unless you tell me about your failures too. Like, I don't want it
Right.
unless I can see your scars and your flaws and all, because otherwise, how do I relate to you? Because I've got scars
Yeah.
and I've got
Mhm.
flaws. And Mary, we've seen what you've been through. Even though you didn't tell us, we saw it, we know it. So the fact that you wouldn't come out and just talk plainly about it makes me not respect what you're trying to do with Worthy Up, and make me less likely to get your book. Now, I am going to pre-order Christine's book because I don't know. I just feel like Christine's pretty pissed off. We've got a lawsuit going on. Oh, honey, if
Right.
I could just be there, a fly on the wall during those discovery phases. She wants her money and she gets retroactive coins for that. And I mean, if there was just a way that Mary and Janelle could come together and open the books for the LLC, for which I think Kody was a fiduciary. I think he had like a legal
Right.
role to take care of that money. And I think if you don't do that and you can prove somebody defrauded you, I think that's like a crime. It's not just civil. I think we could
Right.
have
Right.
Goldilocks behind bars, but only if like you guys actually go after him. It's the complacency of these women to just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to start a flower farm, I guess. And I'm just going to get a new Airbnb. I'm fine, whatever. No, take this dude to court.
Yeah.
Right.
Expose him. Maybe it'll be the kids that ultimately do it. Maybe it'll be somebody like Maddie. Maybe
Maybe.
after the NDAs
Mhm.
run out, maybe it's going to be somebody like Hunter. I don't know, but somebody needs to do it. Just like with the Goslings, somebody
Mhm.
needs to do it.
Right. Right. Well, because here's the thing, because he made a lot of good points. The first thing that I would say is that when it comes to like the whole lie of the underlying lie of polygamy is wonderful, is great, and it's awesome, and then they get out of polygamy and they move into their new lives, right? Almost seemingly, like seamlessly. I think part of the problem is, and part of my issue with the self-help stuff that they're trying to push, like, oh, when you get knocked down, you just get up and keep going because you're awesome and amazing. That's great. If you're in a like situation, though, you weren't blessed necessarily with a TV show. You aren't blessed with having a position where you're getting six figures plus a year, and you turn around and when you leave your husband or your significant other, you have a whole ass house in your name. most people in this situation, hell, most people in most monogamous situations, when a husband or their wife want to leave, the wife want to leave the husband, or the wife want to leave the wife, or husband want to leave the husband, whoever, when they want to go, they're taking the clothes on their back, maybe a bag, and maybe a couple things from around the house, and they're escaping. They're not in a situation where they can just roll right into a new life. And I think that that's part of the illusion that's creating a disillusion for, at least for me, when I hear them talk about how easy it was and how you got to be strong and amazing. We also have to keep in mind that when, like, for instance, I celebrate Christine and Janelle and Mary for leaving, but let's also keep in mind that these ladies had their own houses, they had resources, and it still took them a long time to leave. So it's not this, what they're talking about doing is not an easy task. It's not an easy thing to do. And it's not as easy as just giving somebody a catchphrase. You got to worthy up, and then all of a sudden it just clicks that they can walk out of a marriage.
Yeah. I mean, but I have a few times. I did get up and walk out a few times, 3 times. And that second time, I did walk into a new life that was pretty nice, I got to say. But
it wasn't easy, though.
It wasn't easy. But for most people, it is a difficult thing. And I do think that they do a disservice to the people who might be in similar situations or don't know how to handle it for themselves by not talking about it honestly or showing what it really is. Like, that's not fair to those folks. But I've just given up on the Browns and their integrity. Like, I don't think it's there. I think they're performing. I think maybe with Janelle, it's a little bit less that, but like I have a personal problem with Janelle just because she's my Taurus sister. And I think she's been such a pillar and an anchor for the family. So strong seeming, but like, why didn't you do something sooner because of your kids? Like, you and Christine both saw where Kody was going. He was going across the cul-de-sac to go hang out with Robyn, and he was there for the most part, and your kids were neglected. And I think because it was comfortable, though, because as you said, they did have homes. So they had like new money, and so they're comfortable in this way. Like, I think they didn't make enough of a fuss. And as a result of that, I think these kids were truly damaged and harmed. And that you can put on the back of TLC. You can put that on the back of Kody and Robyn for sure all day long. But like, you got to put that on somebody like Janelle as well. And I really, out of everybody, I really want to hear from her, especially with the passing of Garrison, like just a sit down an episode. And I know they're going to do a tribute episode, but I can guarantee you it's going to be, whitewashed. It's going to be crap. It's not going to be like talking to the real points of this. I just wish we could get Janelle speaking frankly, because Garrison was hurt by TLC, who he was texting the night that it happened. Garrison was so directly hurt by their father, the man that you chose to stay with. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, where are you with that? And of course, she doesn't owe us anything. And I get it. And this is parasocial. Right. I also get that. But is there some sort of a intrinsic responsibility that you have, though, when things get this bad or dark, to share with people about like how it got there and what you can maybe do to do it a little differently? Right. I don't know.
Right. And it might be, maybe that'll be Janelle's book. And because there's a point where this terrible thing happens, but they have to have time to be able to, reconcile it within themselves. Like this is still fresh for Janelle, because I think Garrison's only passed away. Big G's, I call him Big G's, but he only passed away a little over a year ago.
Yes.
So it's still relatively fresh, especially for him to be so young and for him to have passed the way he did. It's a very hard thing to get around and get past.
Sure.
And I do think that if she's ever ready to talk about it, I think that there's not a fantastic, that's the wrong adjective, but there's a powerful message that I think that she could deliver, because there is the point where, maybe, in your situation, to what you're saying, this could be the inspiration for you to leave. This could be the thing that makes you look at something different in this situation, because sometimes when these terrible things happen and it hurts you, you think that you're hiding things back from your kids, and they don't really know or understand what's going on. But in my experience, children understand far more than you give them credit for understanding. They see what's going on in the house. They see the disagreements. They see the quietness. They see the anger. And maybe you never fight in front of them, argue in front of them, or maybe mom is always making excuses for them, but they see what's going on and they internalize that. And even to a point, like you could even get into a thing where maybe they learn to keep that secret too. So because you're not talking to them about it, they're not talking to you about it and what they see and what they know. So you don't know what they know, because just like you're not talking to them because you want to keep them safe, they're not talking to you because they also want to protect you. But they're internalizing a lot of that problem and a lot of that discord, which can lead to like problems later on. And so I can see that too. Again, I think that there's a huge message there, not only about how to prevent, or I don't know if you can actually prevent. That might not be fair, but how you might be able to address it, maybe head it off, maybe have the pathway to open up these conversations. I do like the one thing that Janelle had said with regard to her, the lesson that she learned. She did an interview with People where she said, the lesson I learned is that when I talk to my kids, I don't just ask them, are they okay, and settle it, I'm fine. Like, we really get into how are you doing? How's everything coming? Where are you at mentally? And I think that that's an important note, not only for Janelle, but for the rest of us, because people go through things and not everybody is walking around pulling a Robyn crying about it. You know what I mean? Like, people be going through shit, they just keep it to themselves and they paint a smile on their face, and you don't know what they're going through. And it's always nice to have somebody ask them.
I'm just going to be the bitter one, though. And we can take it off of Garrison and we can put it on somebody like Savannah, who didn't talk to her dad for months. He didn't even call her. Or somebody like Gabe, who, the year of COVID is crying on camera because his father didn't remember his birthday and his father isn't talking to him. And during that time, Janelle is still there. And so I just, as a mom myself, and I feel like what Kody, and certainly Robyn, but as the bio dad, I think what Kody did was emotional abuse straight up. And I think that as an emotionally intelligent person, as I assume Janelle is, like, I feel like you had a duty to do more, of course. And we all make mistakes, but when it's cataloged year after year after year, season after season, and we're seeing it, the build up to it, and it's gone on for years, like, why didn't you do more though? And I guess I just want some kind of an accounting for it. And once again, I say I don't deserve that, but I'm just a little bit butthurt about it. What about you, B?
Well, I think like the whole family is kind of missing the mark on like what they could actually turn this whole series around with, and like what overarching message that they could actually promote, instead of like at the beginning it was all about like polygamy is good and we're just a regular family like you guys, and like we're good people and we cook tapioca pudding and it's like great. Like, they are missing the mark on what they could do now, which is like talking about the harms of polygamy, talking about how it affects everybody's mental health, like the kids involved as well. Like, they could really turn this whole series around, but they're just not willing to focus on any of the hard conversations.
They're not willing to share. Like, to this day, they're still not willing to share the truth of what's happening. We still have Janelle, like in a recent interview, caping for Kody.
Yeah. Well, and like maybe it's like what James was saying earlier, they're trying to process things still, which I get. It's just like, it's hard when it's like a really long season of all of these really produced moments, and then we have more Kody and Robyn time, and it angers the viewers. It angers people because we're just like, can we just have like a real conversation though about like what happened and how it affected everybody?
And
like,
so
it deeply affected
the answer
everyone.
to that is, let's just bring in Suki again. Like, we can't have Tamron Hall back.
Right.
Like, I don't think Tamron Hall was invited back because she pushed back too much, or somebody like Iyanla Vanzant. I mean, I would love to see that. Like, when she went in with the Braxtons, that was a thing of beauty. Like, but she tells the truth. Like, somebody who's willing to be strong enough to like have a clear conversation and call some stuff out. But that is not what we get.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I'd take it a step further too. I think that when you look at like Cody's situation, I think that because, and I'll couch it this way. Over the course of the years, and this is something that I don't think he just started doing. I think that throughout the inception, possibly, of their relationships, Kody has always used his presence as a reward or punishment for people that he either likes or dislikes. So if the kids are, or if the wives aren't doing something he likes, he not only removes his presence from the wives, he removes his presence from the kids. And that's illustrated, like you were saying, with Savannah. When he got in an argument with Janelle, we also have to keep in mind that this is 2025. Back then it was like maybe 2022, 23. These kids had cell phones. You don't have to call the house and talk to the mama, run the risk of talking to the mom if you want to get in touch with your child. You can call your child directly. They got Facebooks, Instagram. There's a million ways that you could reach out and talk to your kids. If you really wanted to get in touch with Savannah, you could have kept that going. But I think that part of what he's ingrained and trained to do through the, maybe, like I said, early on from the relationship, is that when he gets in an argument with Janelle, you're going to yell at me and cuss me out, tell me I can't spend your money the way I want to? Okay, fine. I'm not going to talk to your daughter. And now you get to sit there and comfort her and crying because you want to be difficult. And when you want to get back in line, then I'll make up with Gabe and Garrison. Because I think part of the disagreement he had with Gabe and Garrison wasn't just the fact that they disagreed, but because Janelle wouldn't do what he told her to do. And that's why it blew up the way it did. And when she refused to kick them out or do exactly what he told him to do, that only hardened his feelings towards those two young men. And I think that's what kind of pushed them further away.
Well,
so I think that's...
Can I ask you a question? Like,
sure.
So do you think that the Kody that we have now, this toxic, poisonous, vitriolic, awful person, is the same Kody Brown that started this franchise in 2011? Like, I feel like there's been an arc. Like when I see season 1, 2, 3 of Kody, like I feel this higher vibration, not high vibe, but like I just feel like a sense of levity. Like I feel like he did have a vision for his family and wanted to have his family together. Like, what do you think, James? What do you think really happened, over the arc of the decade that we've been following them to turn him into this low of a despicable person? Like just devoid of all redeeming values as a human being. What do we think happened?
What stripped him out? I think what stripped him out was was success. I think that when he actually was able to attain money, something he didn't have prior, I think that once he got the money and power doesn't necessarily corrupt you. It just allows you to be the person that you always were. And when he had, like, because early on, we talk about the finances, like early on, the family had to work together because it was a matter of survival. But once the show gets started and he was given the opportunity to be on the show, now all of a sudden he's getting the attention and time from the type of women that he wanted to be around. And he was interested in Robyn. And then he was able to mess around with her and do what he wanted to do. Take the 5-hour trip to blow backs out.
That's right. Going to St. George again, man.
Yeah, right. That Dirty George. Yeah, jacking more ass than Steve-O. But when he was able to do that, then all of a sudden, I think that's where the change came, because his priority changed. He started to realize what is possible. Whereas now I don't have to worry about saving money because I'm decide whether I'm going to put money on the lights, not pay off, but put money on you. So if you know, you know. Like, I'm going to put money on the lights, I'm going to put money on the car, or I'm going to put money on the mortgage. Now he's in a position where he has extra. And because he had extra, it was all about consolidating and keeping and doing the things that he wanted to do. I think that one of the maybe one of the more telling things he said was in season 15, 16, where they went out to Kody Pass and he had them all sitting around and he looked at them and said, quite frankly, this family is getting in the way of my goals.
Right.
And this is before COVID happened.
Yes.
And I think that that's exactly where his mindset was. The family itself was getting in the way of his goals. When he first started the show, it was about being the person and projecting himself to be the person that he always projected to be. Family man, concerned, involved husband, concerned and involved father.
So you think that was a projection? That's so interesting because maybe I'm the only dissenting Ruth Bader Ginsburg raccoon of the bunch, but like I just actually feel like Kody was his authentic self, like the young man that he was. Like I felt like that's who he was. I do agree that once they started, because they're poor people who all of a sudden got money. And so, you know, you don't have the infrastructure of like, well, how do I invest this money? Like, how do I have multiple streams of income other than MLMs and stuff? Like, right. Like they don't really have the framework for that. And so they just start buying stuff. And I've got a Dickensian village and I've got these watches and I've got all this stuff because they don't really know how to do money. And I think that was probably the component that changed him, made him become who he is today. But in addition to that, I also feel like it could be demon possession. I don't know. Like, because maybe in the beginning he had one demon, but you know what Jesus said? Like, when you cast out the one, if you don't make yourself right, 7 more will come right in. So by the time we get to season 19, we got 7 whole demons. We got legion. They need to be cast out of him into a bunch of swine and run into the sea because something's wrong with them. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We got some principalities and stuff going on with these people. Like he just became evil. I just feel like when his eyes are evil. As tight as he curls his hair, that's evil. I feel like he's an evil guy.
He just got uptight. I guess as the series went on, you could tell the evil progression as his hair gets tighter.
Is Robyn the demon? Is Robyn the demon though? Is it her? Like, and that's the thing. Like, is it all her subtle influence causing him to believe in a different way? Like, as she peppers her demonic fairy dust over him and say, well, wouldn't it be great though if we used all of the funds in the LLC so I could buy this huge McMansion and this amethyst tower, and like it would be an asset though, and it's totally for the family. And then Cody's just dumb, and now he's demon possessed a little, and so he buys into it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So I think I do think Robyn and money is what turned him into an awful person.
Well, I think that certainly played a part. I think that certainly played a part. But I think that when you are in a situation where, because there was also a key thing that he said before, which actually rang kind of sincere, when he said that it was my duty, when he was talking about acting like a good husband to marry on Kody Pass with Robyn. I think it was the end of season 18. And he said, oh, I could act that way, you know, and I could basically do my duty as a husband. Like, I think that early on, that's what it was. It was a duty. So when he was being a good father, you're supposed to go to church. You're supposed to take care of your kids. You're supposed to go to work. And you find the joys and happiness in the places where you can. So in those little celebrations, you feel like you're a lot closer than you actually are because you're struggling together. And then as he's getting more and he has more free time and he has more flexibility as far as his time is concerned, it's where he chooses to spend his time, and what he chooses to spend his time on, it is the earmark of his character. You know, because character isn't, you know, just doing the right thing. Character is you doing the right thing when you think you can do the wrong thing. Like, you have the ability to do it. Like, I'm not a good dude if I want to go out and meet a bunch of women and cheat on my wife, but none of the women want to have me. I'm a good dude if I have a bunch of women are like, come on, James, let's go back to the mosey wosey and get some rest. And I'm like, no, that's not a good idea. Then it's actually a choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that when given a choice, Kody just revealed who he actually was, because that's what it was. Like, once he started getting the money, he could have chose to do something different. Like, I know we put a lot of heat on Robyn, but at the end of the day, Robyn only has as much power as Kody allows her to have within the family. Like, all her power flows through him.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I disagree a little bit with that.
Okay, let's talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think that she is the puppet master. I think he is so like low intelligence, low emotional IQ, so influenceable. I think she saw a moron and a mark when she saw Kody Brown in that church that day, where the lightning bolt came down and struck her right in her her heart.
Dancing poo pie.
That's right, right in her heart. Like I think she too. I don't think is like uber intelligent, but I think she's got good instincts. I think she's clever in that way, and so she recognized the opportunity for herself. And we're watching the early seasons right now, and you can really see how she's so brand new to the life. Like walking into her home in the cul-de-sac for the first time. It's the first time her kids have ever had a home like this. It's the first time she's ever owned anything. Like I feel like this is a grand machination, like a long game for Robyn, and he was just the dope who bought into it. And now he's just animated purely by her evil and does her bidding. That's what I think. And I think that, I mean, if you're a man with children who love you, and if you're willing to turn on them to that degree, like you're a nothing inside, you're a sociopath inside, you're blank inside. And I think it's Robyn that's the one that's causing him to do a lot of it. Of course, he's capitulating, he's going along with it. He ain't shit. But I do think has the bigger role. What do you think? Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I think it's both, you guys, like honestly, because I think like Robyn had an influence over him with her breakdancing punani, and Kody was mesmerized by her because he also got a lightning bolt in his butt for her. But I also think that you're right, James. Like you are a good person and you have good character if you are tempted by something bad, but you still choose not to do it, and you still choose your values and your morals over it. Because Kody did have a choice. He could have told Robyn, no, we're not going to siphon all of the money from Janelle because we need to pay her light bill and we need to feed all of my 20,000 kids. Like, no, I need to go spend my time with Christine equally because she's still my wife and I still care about her because I fathered 6 kids with her. Like, I still need to care about her. I think it's both. I think Cody's also really stupid, and he was totally manipulated by Robyn because he loved her for some reason. I don't understand why, but he loved her. But he also had the choice to be a good guy, and he chose not to be a good guy, and still is choosing not to be a good guy.
Right. Well, I'll say this. I see your point, and I will concede the point that I think that Robyn is especially good at manipulating situations, especially if you look at how she came up. Like I think it kind of stems from like just who she is as a person, being able to feel out the important people. There are people who can walk into a room, not know anybody in the room, and they'll be able to pick out the people that they need to impress and befriend. And they'll basically become a social chameleon in those environments where they become the thing that they need to be in order to ingratiate themselves to the people that they need to ingratiate themselves with. I think Robyn is very good at that. And I think that helps her when she's dealing with Kody. And I think that, like, I do think that she certainly pressured Kody to do a lot of the stuff that he's doing. Like, she was talking in his ear about the estates. She was talking in his ear about spending money and how to spend money, where to spend his time, because she understood that if she can get Kody on her side, and this is what I mean, everything flows through Kody. She needed to get Kody on her side because Kody was the one, if we recall, like the way the family fund is set up, Kody is the one who is responsible for distributing the family fund. So everybody pays into the family fund, and then Cody's the one who decides where the money is going to go. And so she says, you know what? I just need to be his favorite and make him the best customer and give him that super duper service, and he will do what I want him to do. And I think I agree with you on that. Like, I think that she certainly did that. But at the same time, if Kody would have just said, look, I can't come to your house and every weekend drive 5 hours, leaving my family, my 3 wives and 12 kids for 2 days. I can't do that. What we can do is I'll come down there maybe the first weekend. The second weekend, you come up to us, because you not only need to get to know me, but you got to get to know these other women, and you got to get to know these other kids, and they all got to get to know you and your kids. That makes sense to me. And if he would have did that, that would have cut, like, he could have set the stage to cut a lot of this out, but he didn't. And for him to not do it from the beginning, that's all on Kody. That's all on Kody.
Agreed.
You know, and that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I say, like, the whole, I totally think she can manipulate him. Like, I'm not gonna dispute that at all. Not disputing that at all. because I watched it. But I think she could totally manipulate him, and he's so anxious to make her happy and appeal to her and appease her that he is willing to do whatever she wants him to do. You know what I mean? Which makes him like, and the messed up part about it is that's what makes the whole situation crazy. Because when they first started talking about polygamy and how awesome it was the idea that everybody was working together. But they never said, like, if the husband decides that he no longer wants to do it, what happens to the wives who are all bought in, invested into this situation? Because when he left, he could screw them all over. Like, especially if the family fund is in his name, you know, and the money turn up missing, he closed the account.
Right.
What are we talking about? You know what I mean?
So let me ask you a couple of questions, or at least one question. My theory is that we have maybe 2 more seasons of Sister Wives. Like, I feel like you can't get blood from a stone. And I mean, and if this is all you're giving, I really feel we're going to see a stark drop off of viewership. Plus, it's not interesting. Plus, people are doing other things. So the money's going to stop. And my sense of it is, as a very intuitive and pretty person, is that they haven't really saved a lot. Like, I know they had a trust when they bought this new McMansion, and it was like $400 some odd thousand in there, and they used that to put some money down. But my sense is that they don't have a lot of investments. They kind of, we call it like just drinking from the fire hose. The money's in, so let's buy the stuff. But we don't have a whole lot in assets other than like the Etsy American Girl dolls. So when the money stops, and they had such a good season, we're talking 30 episodes, they're probably being paid $40,000 each. They are making so much money. But in 2 years, when it's gone, do we think Robyn stays with Kody? Or do we think that these two split up? What do you think?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Is she going to stay with him? No, she ride to the top, but she going to get off that elevator.
You think so?
I think here's my two on that situation. And I don't want to get too animated about it because it'll get kind of crazy. But I'm just saying, like, I kind of got the feeling, like I said, she strikes me as the kind of person who can walk into the room and she can see which way the water is going.
Yes.
And she does not strike me as the type of person that's going to ride this elevator back down to the basement. She's going to get off. But
where's she going to go?
Everything.
Where is she going to go? She's going to be in her 50s. She's going to have they're going to have to sell their home. Maybe they'll have a little bit of pretty equity, but not a lot by then. Is she going to align herself with another man with a ranch somewhere in Wyoming who she can be the 5th wife to? What is she going to do?
From what I understand, talking to Melanie from Notes to Self 444 and her husband Corey, they were saying that she's still tied into the AUB. And there are people in the AUB who are still interested in Robyn.
Oh my God, stop it.
That's embarrassing.
Yes.
Come on.
I mean, but see, let's keep this in perspective though, because they never said this to me. This is just my feeling on it.
Okay.
They never said this to me, so I don't want to belay Melanie with this thought. And Melanie, you're more than welcome. If you see this, you're more than welcome to call me and tell me whether I'm full of bunk or not. When I say that, let's keep in mind, this doesn't mean that, there's some barrel-chested, rock-jawed dude, square-jawed man who's just sitting there, bad boy swinging, just like, I got plenty of money, Robyn, let's go. Like, it's very possible she might be with the Crypt Keeper.
Like a Win Brown, like when Janelle's mom married Win Brown. Like, he was an old guy by then.
Yeah, so she might be getting somebody who's like 70, 80 years old. Like, oh, come on now. Come on, hot stuff. Like, so I but I don't see, like, when I say that I see her leaving, the way they set themselves up, one, I 100% agree with you. They said, what it strikes me from what I see, the way they handle their money, it's a lot like, there's good with money. I've said this before. There's good with money when you're poor. You know how to manage money. You know how to pay your bills. You know how to clip coupons. That makes you good with money when you're poor. Those same skills don't necessarily translate when you get a lot of money. And they're in a situation where they have a lot of money that they're talking about, $2 million house. I think that they're spending money. When you're poor, you're okay with seeing, going to the bank and seeing like, what's my balance? Oh, 49 cents. Yes.
It's in the positive. Right.
Right. Right. That check ain't clear yet. It ain't bounced yet. You're okay with that. Or put, $10. Oh, I get $10 out. I think that's one mentality, but I think that they carried that mentality. So they're as much money as they've made, like they should be heartbroken if they look in their accounts and they have less than 6 figures in their accounts. Like they should be heartbroken. Like, so what's going on? There's problems, etc. I wouldn't be surprised if they got $30 in some of their second savings and checking.
Even if they have 6 figures in their accounts, if Sister Wives goes away and you've got a $2.1 million home and you've put, I don't know, $400,000 down on, I don't know exactly, but so people are speculating that their mortgage payment is probably around $20K a month. Plus all those fancy cars. He got a new car this season. Didn't he get a new Lexus or Mercedes or something like that? He got a new car.
Benzo, got a Benz. Yeah.
A Benz. Okay.
AMG. Yeah.
So furnishing all the kids with their cars because that's what he says he does for his children, but only Robyn's children. But like when the Sister Wives check stops, he's still going to have a lot that he owes. I don't think that 6-figure savings account is going to last longer than 6 months taking care of any of this. So they're going to be straight into poverty row unless they're planning something now, like unless they have a retirement account, which they don't. They have some sort of Roth IRA, which they don't. I mean, Christine, surprisingly to me, is handling her wealth very well by investing in these different money-making properties, multiple streams of income. She also has her Plexus MLM stuff, which is unethical and I don't endorse it, but she's making money and she's creating wealth for herself and for her family. And I just have to wonder, as I'm perched on the dumpster, what is Robyn thinking watching Christine amass these she's got 3 homes, plus you're suing Kody for child support and they're going to owe, I think, 3 years in arrears based on whatever they're making this year, which is 30 episodes of Sister Wives. And so you're probably making so much money. So I bet Robyn is so jealous, but I'm proud of Christine. Like Janelle with her flower farm, I'm like, okay, I don't know how profitable that's going to be. It sounds very zen and lovely. And Mary, I think your ideas are dumb and aren't profitable. But Christine, I think, is doing pretty well. But Kody and Robyn, it looks bleak.
I think they're financing everything. Like, I don't even think that they are like, I think they have like the highest payments, probably their mortgage, but everything else I think they're financing. I think they're in a shitload of debt, honestly. I've been watching a lot of financial audit here on YouTube, and I talk about it on the podcast a lot because it's a really good show. But some of those people on there, I mean, they can have hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars just from credit cards. And so I just think about like all of these seasons of Sister Wives and how they've talked about polygamy and like bankruptcy scandals and things like that. Like that they know their way around the finances to kind of make it work for them for the time being. So I feel like they're taking things out. I feel like they have a ton of debt. I feel like the House of Cards will fall down eventually, but I feel like it might last longer than we all think, unfortunately, because they just got that $2.1 million mansion. So they had to have qualified for that somehow. I don't know how, but they had to have qualified for it. So,
because I think, because there's a couple things. One, 100% agree as far as the credit is concerned, because when you look at it, when you are, and again, this is the difference between like functional poor, good with money, and when you actually have access to money. When you have access to money, including like a collateral like property, you have like this huge amount that you're going to get paid, like this huge income. That gives you the ability to ask for more credit, which is very dangerous, especially if you don't know how to manage credit. Because now you find yourself in a situation where I've talked about this before. Like you have somebody who could play the lottery. They win, like they're broke when they get the lottery. They're one of the people with like 49 cents in their bank account. They hit the lottery for $10 million. They go a year, they blow through the $10 million. And all of a sudden, when the money is gone from the lottery, they find themselves in a situation where not only are they back to broke, but they actually owe like $400,000 or $500,000 because they were able to get access to credit that they normally would never have been able to even touch or even if you would have signed your name on that application, they'd have beat your ass on the way out the bank. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? Ain't no way in the world we give you this money, you lunatic. So I think that they have access to that. And I think that they do strike me as the kind of people, because the way they do spend money, that they would take out additional credit applications, so on and so forth. And I think that Janelle, part of the reason why they missed Janelle is because when they were dealing with the family fund and the family finances, part of the reason why Janelle was tied into that was because, remember when Kody said, oh, Janelle was there to pay bills for the family, with the family fund, and I don't know what happened with it. Like basically implying that she stole the money.
Yes.
I think that what he's missing is we would get a bunch of money. I would spend it. Robyn would spend it. I think Robyn wasn't even spending the family fund money. I think she was running up credit. And then Kody, because his name is on it, used the family fund to pay the credit off. If that makes sense. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she didn't actually have family fund money. She just run up a credit card, slide him the bill. He would use the family fund to pay that bill. And then if there was any difference, Janelle would make up the difference. So the mortgages were getting paid, the lights were getting paid. You know, I'm funding on my money, but you're spending the money on necessities.
That's why he got so mad when she bought the RV. She spent her money, $84,000, which he thinks is really his money.
Right.
She had the audacity to go out and I think also purchase a truck with which to haul it and the RV, and didn't run it by him. And so that's what made him so angry. And I think you both are correct. I think they love a credit card. I know Nikki Haverstock and her husband had heard from like a few different realtors in the area who were able to look at the first McMansion and verify, and this is alleged and this is just what I heard and everything, but that they had like multiple loans taken out against that first McMansion. So by the time we're selling it, even though we've made a lot in equity, like we're just paying off loans, that's all we're doing. So they do have a propensity to over leverage themselves because they, I guess, think that this is not going to end. And I can see, given their mindset, why they would buy the $2.1 million home, because they know at that time, which was last summer or whatever, that they've got 30 episodes. So they're going to be rolling in it. And so of course we can afford it, but they're just not smart enough to think out 5 years from now when that money's going to be gone and what they're going to do then. I just hope that we can see it when it happens.
They're around long enough.
Yeah.
Because I think the crazy part about it is that I think you're right. When you look at how they mortgaged like you asked, like how did they get the $2.1 million house if they leveraged it? If we remember back in Las Vegas, when they were talking about, that was when they first came out and said that we're going to do the whole idea of estates. Each one of us are going to have these properties, we'll pass it down to our kids. That's where that was first presented when they moved to Las Vegas and bought those houses in the cul-de-sac. Robyn's house, even though it was the most completed house, finished backyard, everything else, they invested a lot of money. Her house is just as big as Mary's house because she had the pantry and she had the extra bedroom. So she also had the wet bar, but they never talk about it. Her house actually had liens against it because of Dayton's injuries when he got ran through that fence. And so they didn't have a lot. They leveraged the hell out of that house. So that's why he was so adamant about saying, where we go one, we go all. And all houses are shared.
Oh, I see. I did not know that. I didn't know that her home had liens and loans against it.
Right. Yeah. Her house had loans against it. So even though she sold her house first for the most money, there's a possibility she got less for her house, less equity from that sale. So updating that to where we are now with the $2.1 million house versus the $1.7 million house, they leveraged the hell out of that house. How did they qualify for the 2.1? That's because they own most of Coyote Pass. So they have property in their name that they could leverage against. They have collateral that they could leverage against this.
Yeah, but it's only worth I think they purchased it for something like $800,000 some odd dollars, and now it's worth 1.3 or something like that. That's super rough. Like, and it's not all in his name, so he doesn't own all of it. I mean, is that enough to take out a loan? Yeah, I mean, obviously, because he can show the taxes. And last year I made this much from Sister Wives, and they're still making a lot of money. And also they have
technically Well, because he's on 100% of the property, and
Mhm.
the way it's broken out between him and Robyn, I think they own like 70%. Like as far as like
It
the
just makes me so mad. It makes me
deeds
so
are
mad.
out.
How?
Yeah.
How do we agree to this as women in our 40s and 50s or whatever? How do we agree to let this man put his name on each and his wife Robyn, his legal wife,
Mhm.
their names on all of these properties? How do you think that that's okay? Like, are we so brainwashed that we don't see exactly what they're trying to do, which is steal all the money?
Right. Well, they didn't believe it was going to happen.
Yeah,
Why?
He would
I
exactly.
mean,
never do that to
I
me.
feel
You
like
know.
he had been demonstrating that for quite some time
Right.
by the time they purchased Coyote Pass. I don't understand. I'm having cognitive dissonance about it.
Right. Right. Well, because I think that there's I know it's overplayed, so probably overused the whole when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. I'd take that to the next level, and I say that we should always be reevaluating our relationship, reevaluating our relationships, and seeing them for where they are now, as opposed to where they were. Because I think that when we watch Sister Wives, as a for instance, I think part of what trapped the OG3 in this relationship is that they always remember Kody like 20 years ago,
Mhm.
20-year ago Kody, not Kody today, not steal your mama, steal your house, steal the
Right.
feelings out your head, Kody. Like this is a different guy you're dealing with. He's a totally different person that you're dealing with and talking to. And so, yes, he is going to rip you. Like I've been saying this though, he's ripping y'all off. Like he's setting you up to rip you off. Why did you pay? Like, even if, well, we went down and he signed the paperwork and he put his name on everything and we had no idea. Why didn't you just look? We need to go down there and talk to these
Mhm.
people and and
Mhm.
change this. And if we didn't do it then, before I gave you another nickel to pay this property off, we need to go down there and change it. Everybody's name needs to be on every parcel until we figure out how we're going to reconstruct the lots. We're not even going to do the I'm gonna put my name on this lot and you're gonna put your no, we're gonna put everybody's name on everything. Technically, I think that Kody and Robyn's name should come off because they didn't pay the money
Mhm.
back from when they bought the
Mhm.
McMansion. That's just me
Right.
though.
Exactly.
But we're gonna put if we're gonna put everybody's name on it, everybody's name needs to be on every parcel.
Oh, sorry.
No, no
Oh.
worries.
Oh,
No
hold
worries.
on a second. So hold on a second.
What happened to our
I
camera?
don't know.
There we
we
go.
are.
He
Sorry.
disappeared.
Just turned off.
Oh goodness.
The
Yeah,
criminals was like, oh hell no.
you know what, though? What chaps my hide too is when we have Mary in season 19 around Thanksgiving going to deliver the check. By then, Mary, you have seen this man on national television calling you all manner of things, speaking about
Mhm.
you in the most terrible way. You've seen how he treats you and everyone else. Like, you know who this person is, and you're still delivering a check to pay more than your share, more of your actual ownership on Coyote Pass. You're giving him more than your share, and you're just trusting him. We're just all of a sudden trusting him. And my theory is that they're doing this, they're staying as long as they are because they want to continue to make money through Sister Wives as well. And Mary wants
Right.
to continue to have a platform for herself so that she can spin off and do all these other things that she's doing now. In order to do that, she's got to still be on this show. So she's going to play ball. I don't know that they trusted him. I don't know that they believed him and what he was saying. I just think they had to do it in order to stay on Sister Wives. Is that crazy?
Oh, I don't know. I think they trusted him until the end, honestly, because in season 1, we know now that Mary's ring was melted down
Mhm.
and nobody talked about it. And she was still there and still dealing with it. And even when you get to the episode where Mary has her legal divorce, like the writing was on the wall for everybody watching. And it's easy for us as the viewers to look at this and scream at our TV and be like, oh my God, it's so obvious though. Like, why don't you guys see this? But I think because they were in it and they were in the faith for so long, they really did believe that it was
Absolutely
going to
not,
be
because
okay.
we
I
have
think
in
so.
this last season, we have Mary's rando friends that are being presented episode to episode. None of these people who we know saying, well, I knew when you divorced him that this was going to happen, or you've known that this has been going on since way back then. So if they're saying it now, trust and believe they were saying it then. So Mary was aware of it then.
Well, yeah, but haven't you ever had a friend who's been like, oh my God, you're with this guy.
It
He's a
sounds like a
piece of
lot of
crap.
her friends, though. I feel like Mary 100%. knew what was going on, but she was staying in it because she wanted to get that sweet, sweet TLC buddy. That's what I think. They're all greedy.
That sounds reasonable. But I would say this, like Mary also kind of strikes me as the type of person. I think Beatrice and I might be on the same page as far as she does strike me as the kind of person that she was committed to being in this relationship. And no matter what anybody was going to say to her, either she was going to do what she wanted to do and you could still kind of hang out, or she was going to cut you off because you were saying something she didn't want to hear.
Mhm.
Because like the idea that because I do appreciate the fact that she might have stayed on it because of the TLC check and a situation it does provide. Because like it or not, with the MLMs, you're only as good in the MLMs as your fame allows you to be. Like, so by the fact that people know who they are, you're going to have a huge downline, which means that you get propelled right to diamond damn near. And you don't have to do any of the like, I'm going to have a meet with my family and friends. Let me tell people about this great opportunity. You don't have to do any of that.
Right. Right.
You know, you can go right to the top. So I do appreciate that part of it. Like, and I think that might have, I think the success of the show, the TLC portion, you know, if you look at it like from the respect of, if you are somebody who married someone and you struggle with this dude, like you were there eating ramen noodles and jam sandwiches where you take 2 pieces of bread and you jam them together, you eating them sandwiches, and then all of a sudden he gets that good money or she gets that good money, and then you're like, I'm not leaving now. Now that you eating this fine food, you driving the big cars, you living in the huge mansion houses, I'm not leaving now. We was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with cockroaches running around so big you could throw a saddle on them and ride them to the corner store. I'm not leaving now that we actually have horses. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I can see that being a pressure too for her to try to stay involved.
And also, I think she really loved him. I don't know that I don't think that necessarily means that she believed him. I don't think that necessarily means that she didn't also acknowledge that it was unfair at the time. I think she just really loved this man. And also, out of all of the women, I think she was the most faithful to her religion. I think she took that shit seriously. I think we see that when she goes and she gets her release and whatnot. Like she's very serious and committed in that way. I think she was hoping for Kody to come back around. And as we learned, Kody said, you're going to have to do all of these things on this list in order for me to be your husband again. And she says she did all of the things on that list. And so she's waiting and waiting for him to come back around. I don't know what would compel a grown woman of a big age to do that. But I also can have some compassion on her, because if you are truly in love with this person and you truly believed in him at one point, like you're hoping that that person reemerges and comes back. And for that, she gets a little bit of credit. But like you still should have had your shit in order. You still should not have tendered that check. You still should have made sure that things were equitable and fair. That's what adults do in these types of situations. And you didn't do that. And so I don't respect that.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, I do like your point though about them struggling in the earlier years of their marriages, and that kind of bonded them together because they were also really young and they like grew up together. Like I got married really young at 20, and there is kind of like a special, I don't know, bond that you have when you are growing up and going through your early 20s together that really does feel unbreakable at times. And then on top of that, with the Browns going through like poverty and living in that single wide and having to hear everybody fornicating and making all those babies and those paper thin walls.
Yeah,
like I feel like there was like a camaraderie that they had there. And so maybe that's what they were holding on. Like you had said earlier about like thinking about who Kody used to be instead of seeing him for what he is now. It makes sense.
Right. Well, because I think with Mary, there's also the mystery sauce of her mom being involved, because from what I understand, her, like, she would go to her mom and complain about Kody, and her mom was like the stalwart religious person who said, like, you got to suck that shit up. You know, this is what it's about. This is how you do marriage. You know, this is what marriage looks like. So you got to be stronger. You got to be the bigger person. A lot of the advice, the horrible advice that Mary would give Christine when she would go to her and say, I feel so bad. I don't know if I can keep doing Kody. That was the advice that her mom gave her.
Mhm.
And so she's not only dealing with her feelings and her emotions, but she's also dealing with the pressures of her parents and not wanting to disappoint or, betray her mother and her mother's wishes and guidance. So I think that there's a lot of things that kind of goes in. I don't think it was just the magic wing wong that just kept Mary hooked in Kody.
I can't imagine that was the case.
Yeah, I don't think
No.
that was it for any of them.
No.
But I think that it was like a combination of like the social pressures, how she was raised, the religious pressures. Because I do agree that I think she does strike me as one of the people who is more dedicated to that religion than most of the other people. So a lot of those social pressures and things. So it's not just the relationship with Kody, but it's the extenuating stuff that kind of might have locked her into the relationship. And I don't think the TLC money hurt at all. You know what I mean?
You know that theory that we talked about this once, when you experience like super acute trauma and super acute trauma, and or you take a huge amount of drugs or something, like it freezes you in time, and like you're that mental age until you get some therapy or figure out how to get out of that space. With Mary, I feel like she's frozen in time at some point at a very almost in a childlike way. And I think what we're watching now with Mary is her attempts to start this new chapter in a way that is familiar to her. Like, let me start another MLM, let me do another word, let me do what I do. But I'm really hopeful for her that she can, I don't know, I feel like she wants to meet somebody. Like, I don't think that that's the end all be all to happiness, is to be with somebody, but like meet somebody, preferably a woman. I feel like she's lesbian. I don't know. I feel like maybe she's a little bit of a lesbianist, but I mean, just find somebody who allows her to be completely who she is, because I feel like she's really scared to show herself. I feel like she's been judged very critically, and maybe rightly so. She sounds like she was a bitch back in the day, but like I feel like she's really scared to reveal her authentic self. But like my hope is that she finds somebody that lets her do that, and I feel like she could really flourish. And I think she's got the raw materials. Do you know what I mean? I think she wants to be somebody with a message. I think she wants to be able to help other people. She just doesn't realize that she still has a good deal of healing to do. And I think it would be cool though to follow her while she's healing and in process. I think that's really powerful. But like, don't presume at the same time to tell me like you got it all figured out, because clearly you don't have it all figured out. But I have all the hope in the world that she will get some of this stuff figured out.
Right. Well, I mean, especially when you're still stroking out checks, you don't have it figured out.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah. You sat in that house and you wrote out a check. Yeah, no.
I don't. But, I can't. I don't know how. I cannot.
Yeah. I'd have been at the house all right. Don't get it twisted. I'd have showed up
in a different way.
Right. It would have been a different conversation.
I would not have knocked on Robyn's door either. I would have just let myself in.
Right. The way he does.
Yes.
That was one of the craziest things that always kind of catches me a little bit. Like, he'll show up to Mary's house. He hasn't lived with Mary since the cul-de-sac.
I know.
And even when he was moving her out of the house in Arizona, he just walks into the house.
I know.
Doesn't knock, doesn't announce himself, none of that. Like, he walks in like he's home. God.
I know.
Like, oh, hell no, we divorced. Like, you don't do that.
Where are my nunchucks? Where are my brass knuckles? No, you don't just walk into my home like you're my husband or something. You're not.
Well, and it's kind of funny because when we talked about like knocking on doors and how that was a rule, like Mary was the ones that was supportive of that. She's like, well, what if I'm walking around naked or whatever? And it's like, okay, but Kody can just walk into your house. Maybe that's what she hopes though, because maybe when she's walking around alone naked, she hopes that Kody will just walk in and give her that sweet pencil, you know?
Right.
Sorry.
Oh no, you caught me indisposed, you know.
But while you're here.
Right. Girl, I told you I was gonna be here at 3:00. I know I got naked at 2:45. You know, but I do think that like when we look at it, I don't want to say I don't give Mary grace, because I understand where she's coming from, but I also want to be the one to say, because I get like a lot of the reasoning as to why she's doing what she's doing. But one of the things that I've always said is that even though we may understand why she does what she does, or provide that grace or understanding as to why she does what she does, we still owe it to everybody else who may be listening or watching the show to say, look, this doesn't make sense. And even though I understand what's going on, when push comes down to shove, Kody is still going to walk away with 90% of the family fund and the money and the Kody pass and everything that she has. None of that is going to make her whole. Like, no matter how bad I feel for it, no matter how much I understand why she does what she does, at the end of the day, Kody, unless she stands up for herself and asserts herself, Kody is going to walk away with all your money.
So let me ask you a question based on that, because we had a few commenters on some of our videos, because I was saying, well, Cody's saying in the episode, memorializing his intent to be fair with the property. And I said, so that's good, right? And a couple of commenters were like, well, fair to Kody, though, doesn't mean equal distribution based on it doesn't mean the same thing. Maybe for Kody, fair is, but 90% for me, though, and you get 10%. Fair. And so what do you think he's going to end up doing? Because if they get an attorney, which it does seem like they're going to do, that will change the game a little bit. But what do you think Kody and Robyn are going to do with that property?
Well, I think that when Kody's, because I had a whole thing. Matter of fact, I think I might even still have it loaded up. I can play it. Where Kody was saying that what he was planning, how he was going to divide the property. And I think it was what he actually meant.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Oh,
what I need to do is be reminded every spring to come in and roll just a new coat on the top.
Yeah, but I don't know if we'll have this property next spring. I keep wondering every time we're out here if this is the last time we're going to be out here. That's kind of a hard thought.
That's a good point, but every time we talk like that, I start thinking about a way that we would keep the pond.
Let's just not go there, dear. That's just...
Yeah, let's not go there, dear. When he says that, I was trying to think of a way we can keep the pond, the poop pond.
Yeah, leprotic, syphilitic, prairie dog pond.
Yeah, people dive in there, they don't come back out.
They do not.
Florida.
No.
But that whole section where he had said, I don't have the one, where he was basically talking to the guy and said, oh, this part of the land I basically paid for myself. That was the part of that huge side of Kody Pass where the pond is located. It was originally Robyn, Kody. Here it is. There it is. I don't know if you guys can still hear me.
Yes, yeah. we can hear you.
Okay. There's like the Kody Robyn section. That whole section over there to the right, I think that's the part that he believes he paid for himself. So when he's talking about dividing Kody Pass, he's actually talking about dividing those 3 other lots. So he's going to equally divide those 3 lots, and he's going to keep that big lot for himself, which is what was the one that's 5.16 acres. Kody, Christine, and Robyn. He's going to keep that for himself. The other, was it 5, 7, I guess 9 acres, roughly 9 acres. That's the acreage he's talking about splitting between the 5 of them.
That's interesting, because I remember seeing like a different map of that where the division was like 5 different plots of land, and there was like one small plot at the top that Kody said, this is going to be just for me and I'm going to get the pond. And so in my mind, I was thinking he was talking about, I paid for that little small part, but I see what you're saying. He probably does think he paid the lion's share for that huge plot, but like how and where? From where did you pay that? From the LLC,
from Janelle,
which was funded by Janelle and Christine and Mary.
Right. Well, because if you think about it, that 5 lots, because even doing in retro, the 5 lots that he proposed, that was the proposal that he had in order to, when he had 4 wives and everybody was involved.
Right.
And that division does not exist.
Right.
That was something that he kept pushing out that he wanted to do. And he kept saying, this is what I want to do. We got to pay it off so we can subdivide it so that we have all the lots. But it was always kind of a pipe dream. Ultimately, that the way it's laid out now is the way it's actually recorded at the Recorder of Deeds. And when he bought that, see, it kind of gets into like how the money worked. So when he goes to, when they sold their homes in Las Vegas, they used the down payment to get into Kody Pass. And then as they were paying that money off for the land or whatever, remember it took a little while for Christine to sell her house, but she bought a house in Arizona, right? Remember she bought a house. She moved to Arizona. She was a smart one.
Yes.
She sold her house in Vegas and she bought a house in Arizona. Then when it was time for Kody to buy a house with Robyn, he used the family fund money to buy the house with him and Robyn. But in order for him to buy that house, he had to take his name off of Christine's house. So she paid him back the money from the sale of the house in Las Vegas, which he viewed as his. So when she sold her house in Vegas, he was like, that's my money. So he clawed all that money back to himself. And then whatever she used to buy or as a down payment for the house, that was his contribution to his house. That's why he thought he owned some of her house. Remember, that was a whole conversation. And so when she said, I'm going to give you Kody Pass, click, and then I'm going to take my house, click. He sees that as, I've invested in your house. You gave me that money. So anything that you owned on Kody Pass is now mine. And that's how I think his logic works as far as that big piece of land.
I hate him so much. I just hate him so much. But I think the only way we resolve this equitably, because at the end of the day, he's holding all the cards because his name is on all the property. And any way you slice it, that's just what it is. But you can sue somebody for anything. And so if Mary and Janelle sue him for more of a share and even to get some of the money back from whatever they contributed indirectly or directly to Robyn's McMansion, if they sue him, he could settle. He could at some point, not necessarily because he has to, he probably doesn't legally, but like if we got to go through discovery, if we have to go through a process, if we're opening the books, if we're going to see what you're really spending all this money on for the last 5 to 10 years, if we get to have a forensic accountant in here looking at it, you are put in a very vulnerable situation. So really the only way Mary and Janelle get anything that's equal or fair is if they have an attorney who's subtly threatening Kody to take it as far as he needs to take it to get them that money. And I hope they do it. I hope they do it.
Me too.
Right. Well, do you have something you want to say, B?
Oh, no, I just said me too. I agree.
Okay. Well, because the thing that makes me nervous, and this is where we're on the same page. What makes me nervous with the whole prospect of even involving an attorney is that, one, because of the way that they constructed the deeds and the way they went about their family business, it puts them at a tremendous disadvantage on its face. Like the ladies, the OG3, puts them at a tremendous disadvantage. 1, 2, I'm also concerned because of the timeliness of them actually bringing an action. So if you bring an action years later and say, oh, I had no idea that he put all this property that I helped to pay for in his name, and there's no record of my contribution to said property, and I certainly don't have the level of land or property ownership I should have, I want the courts to settle it. The court could look at it and say, well, why didn't you come to us earlier? And then there also comes a question of, and this is where it gets kind of even worse for me, the question of statute of limitations. Because if they keep riding this out and they don't get an attorney involved and he's able to keep, guys, let's work it out between us. We don't have to get an attorney involved. That's a stall tactic. And if he can get past that statute of limitation, your hands are tied.
Do you know what that statute of limitation is?
I think for fraud is actually pretty long. But if they can't nail him down with fraud for deed ownership, I think it was like 3 or 4 years. So they might have already screwed the pooch on it. Like depending on when they start the clock, like they could restart the clock when they paid the land off. But then at the same time, you knew when you walked in there and you handed them that second check
Right.
that your
On
name
camera.
wasn't on anything.
Yes.
So it's almost like it was a tacit agreement to where you agreed that this is what the division of the land was going to be. Like this is crazy as shit. And this is why I'm saying like we got to pull coattails and say that when you start involving money, you have to be involved with the people that you're dealing with. You got to be involved. You can't just sit back and let people make decisions for you because they might not be making decisions for you in your best interest.
Sure.
Cody was looking out for himself throughout all of this. 100% he was looking out for himself, which actually goes back to the first thing that you had said when you were talking about how the show was presented and how families were presented. They told us that, you know, Cody was different and he looks out. Cody is absolutely no different than any one of the men that we talk about. The only difference really is like they don't have the whole sex stuff going on with the young folk. But the power dynamic is the exact same. Because when you know, it's easy to be when we all getting along, it's easy for me to be on your side and look out for you and be your friend. It's when you break up. That's when the shit matters. What kind of person you are and how you look out for your wife or your significant other. Because they talk about leaving. They're like, well, y'all gonna leave with the clothes on your back. How about that? You know?
Well, and that's the thing too with like Mary and Janelle. I mean, their hands are pretty tied, especially with Mary, because there's a clip going around on Reddit of one of the older episodes when Mary got her legal divorce and she was concerned about the wording on the paperwork because the wording said something to the effect of like, I relinquish all of my ties to your assets and like, I won't like seek any of your money or financial assets or whatever the case it was basically just saying like we are going to be split forever and I can't like come and sue you for anything. And that was paperwork that I think she signed and she was all nervous about it. And Robyn was, you know, giving her fake reassurance like, no, it's going to be totally fine. Like I'm going to advocate for you and everything. But I worry about that. Speaking of the lawsuits nowadays, like I don't know if Mary I mean, maybe Mary can go into it with Janelle because they were on the paperwork and stuff together, but they're going to have a really skilled attorney to have to go through all of that because of the divorce paperwork that Mary signed that said, you know, you relinquish all of your ownership to Kody's assets and everything.
But I mean, probably up to that point, not like future assets acquired together. I think just now is the time, if they're going to do anything, it is the time to strike because you've got dueling lawsuits and you're going to be draining his funds. You've got Christine over here suing him. He's definitely going to have to pay some retroactive money for Truly in child support. I would imagine calculated on the last 3 years of whatever his salary is. And I think that's going to be a pretty penny. And then you've got these two women coming in on the other side, you know, saying, okay, well, maybe we won't get anything, but my money is long and I'm here to take you to court. And I want to see what you got going on over there. Show me the books. So he's going to have to defend himself on both fronts, which would make him maybe more likely to try and settle one or both of those. So the chances now, if he's going to do anything, if you're going to let him stall though, and be stupid about it, which you probably will be, but if you're going to let him stall, then you're just going to miss your opportunity.
Yeah. Well, because I think that I 100% agree. The longer you let this go on or drag out, it makes for good TV in the sense that because they don't want to talk about anything else, this is the one source of drama that they actually have that ties them all together. And so for the sake of the show, it may make sense, but as far as like litigation is concerned, this doesn't make any sense. You want to press the issue. You don't want to sit back and then let a whole bunch of time pass because again, you're asking the judge to be outraged when clearly you weren't outraged. Like this huge wrong thing happened to you, but you clearly didn't give a shit about it until now. What's the difference between 2 years ago to now? And why are you now all of a sudden animated about getting your stuff? And that's where it gets kind of
That's a good question. Do we think that Mary got any direct benefit from that LLC in the, you know, previous 3 to 5 years that she was, you know, in Flagstaff holding on as long as she could or whatever? Like, was she getting money for that? Was she getting her share from the fund? Was she being paid out or was she contributing all of that to the fund?
See, I think she was contributing to the fund. what's worse is I think she was paying her own rent.
I'm sure
Like
she was off of her
yeah,
Lulu
she was
Row.
paying her
Yeah.
own rent.
Mm-hmm.
And so and a lot of the family fund, that's what it was supposed to be going towards. Like the family fund originally was put in place to pay for the home necessities. But as they were starting to develop their own money and own revenue sources, they were able to take care of a lot of their own bills themselves. So the housing, the like Christine said, I paid for this house myself. I paid for all the mortgage payments. They were paying for the houses themselves, which gave a lot of freedom to Kody to play around in that family fund, which was supposed to be getting, like they were supposed to be saving that money so that they could pay off Kody Pass and they could develop and then build on that land. That was supposed to be the plan.
But why wouldn't that have been
that's where you have weakness.
Why wouldn't that have been the canary in the coal mine? Like if you're not getting money for your mortgage from the LLC, if you're not getting money for the groceries to feed all your children from the LLC, if you know that it's not coming to you, but you're also seeing these people amass all of these assets and doing all of these things, like why did you wait? Why did you delay as long as you did to say anything about it? I mean, I think with Christine, she's like, whatever. I'm cutting my losses. I don't want to be connected to this. I'm cutting the cord. I'm just dipping by. I was lucky enough or astute enough to just have my name on the deed or the mortgage. And so I'm out of here. But those other two women, I guess they weren't talking to each other or something, trying to make a plan.
Right. Well, because I do think that like there was a point where they should have moved a lot faster. The one thing that does make me concerned, and I haven't really voiced this before, so premiere. The one thing that makes me concerned about this situation is that ultimately I think the show and the presence of the show kept Kody honest. I think that when he talks about, oh, my pretty wife, my quiet wife, my shy wife keeps me from doing all this nasty stuff to these other women, I don't think it's Robyn that's keeping him from doing the nasty stuff. I think it's the fact that he'll look horrible doing this nasty stuff to them and stay on the show. The problem is that as we kind of talked about earlier, as this show is winding down and the possibility that this show gets canceled, the likelihood that Kody is going to come up off of any of his assets gets smaller and smaller. Because if the show gets canceled, why would I give you $1 million if the show gets canceled and I no longer have access to that income? I'm going to keep that $1 million because I need it. Because like you said, they're already, from what we can see and what I'm imagining in my mind, their money is already stretched super thin. So I'm not going to give you money that, one, I don't have, and two, I need in order for me to try to sustain myself as best I can when this show ends. So the worst thing that could happen to any prospect of a lawsuit or settlement is that they get a note in the mail or they get that phone call. Yeah, guys, I know we were going to have the guys come over to your house to film this weekend. Yeah, you guys are free for the weekend. We're not doing that anymore. Then all this conversation is stopping.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing. So do you think that he's like using like the show as kind of like a leverage of like, we'll do the litigation later? Like, do you think he's stalling because he wants to keep his paychecks and everything so that way he can afford to live before going into the lawsuits? Or do you think Kody's that stupid that he would like do that?
Well, I think he would stall it. I think his whole plan is, because to take a step back, ultimately, I think Kody is arrogant enough to where he doesn't truly believe that they're actually going to pull the trigger on the lawsuit. They might be mad. They might be upset. They might even be kind of angry, but they're not going to take me to court. They're not going to press the issue, really. Like, I think that he feels that secure. So, and two, I think that he also thinks highly enough of himself where if they even did take him to court, he's such a big shot that he'll go there, he'll laugh it up, yuck it up with the judge and the lawyers, and then he'll get these little women, put them in their place, and then he'll go on home. Like, I think that he believes that. Like, I don't think he thinks that they have a case. So, And I do think that because he's been stalling them out. Because even when Janelle said, I ask about the property and he always tells me some excuse or he pushes me off. That's him stalling you out because he doesn't want to address it. Because the sooner you get mad about it and the possibility of you going to court, the sooner, like they bought the property within 2-3 months, they take them to court because they feel like they're not being served properly as far as his responsibility to them, with his fiduciary responsibilities, etc. Then they have a better chance of winning. If it goes 3, 4, 5 years and you didn't take me to court, now all of a sudden you want to start hiring lawyers. Your Honor, what are we doing here? They're just, look, we broke up. And I think that's also why he runs the whole, I never loved their mothers. Because that taps more into the sour grapes. They're not mad because I did something wrong financially. They're just upset because I don't want to date them. And that's what this is all about. They're just mad.
He's a narcissist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I can see that. Like when that argument comes out, this will be my not surprised face. I will not be surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will not be outraged. I can't believe he said it. No, I totally saw him saying that. Like, yeah, they trying to pull me down because they jealous because I'm in love with Robyn and I'd never loved them. This isn't about Kody Pass. They know I own that property.
Which is why I think he was so enraged with Christine because she chose to leave. And then, pretty promptly got into a relationship with somebody that he heard about quickly. And so he knew that she was moving on with her life and he could no longer control her. But furthermore, he's not the center of her entire existence. And like, what does that feel like, Kody? I bet that's uncomfy. And so that instead of like stopping and like maybe taking a beat and doing some introspection and like, why does that hurt? Did I do something to contribute to this? No, he just spins out and starts abusing everybody verbally and emotionally because he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, well, you just hurt the people who are closest to you. And I think that's also part of the reason why Gabe Garrison, Madison, like all the kids, I think that's part of the reason why they suffer the way they do, because they are close to Christine. And he knows that if he hurts them, it's going to hurt Christine by him hurting them. And it definitely hurts him because not only did he's also the guy in season 17, he's talking to Suki. He said, yeah, she's not going to be able to get another guy because as soon as that guy realizes that she left a good man she did me dirty, no man want to have. And she turned right around and get a fiance in short order. And not only did she get a fiance, apparently her fiance is better off financially, which is a big deal to Kody.
Yes, very much.
He can't criticize them like, oh, they living in a 1-bedroom shack. Ha ha ha. They're acquiring properties. The fact that they are doing so well financially and they're moving forward. We had talked a little bit about that briefly previously. I know that burns him up. The fact that she's doing everything that he said that he wanted to do. Remember, the whole purpose of him buying those houses, the cul-de-sac, was because he wanted to be a big shot amongst his friends that he bought all these houses. Remember when Brett came down, he was like, oh yeah, these are all my houses. He was so proud of the fact that he had all those properties, those investments. When he got out to Arizona, that was one of the big things this is an investment property. We need to invest. And I'm going to be a real estate mogul. Right. And now Christine is actively doing the thing that he always wanted. This is killing his ass.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's so delicious. Oh, it's so tasty going down. It's great.
Yeah, that's killing his ass. Every time she turned around, she's like, I just bought another Airbnb. Oops. Like, you know what I mean? He another devil just got his horns. Like that, I'm sure of it.
Well, let me ask you this, because we have kind of an ongoing discussion about how Kody really feels about Janelle. Because even in this latest season, he's kind of signaling that, well, he's not. He's outright saying, like, I'm open to maybe getting back together with her. But I kind of have a feeling, she's over it. She's like, I don't need to talk to you. I'm out of here. I'm not going to tell you I'm leaving. I'm gone. But for him, I feel like this is another narcissistic injury, because whereas with Christine, it might have been more about control. I can't control that. And look at how she's succeeding. With Janelle, I wonder if he actually really would like to be back with her. Like if he actually loves her, but just can't admit it with vulnerability because he's such a toxic goblin. What do you think? Do you think he would get back together with Janelle if the opportunity presented itself?
I think that there's short answer, yes.
Okay.
And the more detailed answer, I think that he would get back with Janelle, not in the conventional sense because of love and adoration and because he misses her that way. I think he misses the guardrails that Janelle provides, the safety net that Janelle intrinsically brings to the relationship. Because again, I think that if left to his own devices, Kody would spin himself into the poorhouse. But with Janelle, she's the one who would always kind of regulate him. Like I've said that about myself. Like personal note, story time. When I consider myself almost to be an extreme extrovert. Like I'm the guy who could go out, and when I actually in my 20s, I was the guy who would go out to bars or clubs by myself consistently. And I would spend the whole night talking to everybody in the place. Right? I'm that guy. I'm the party starter. I'm the guy first one on the dance floor, all that. Right? In order for me to, it was time for me to settle down and find somebody to be with, my partner is not like me. She isn't like that extreme introvert. She's more introverted. And she provides a good balance to me because, two of me would be one of me is probably way too much, but two of me would be ridiculous. We'd be ridiculous. But she provides that balance to me to where, she gives me that focus. Whereas with Kody, he spends money like crazy. He's with a wife who spends money like crazy. And because both of them spend money like crazy, Cody's going to find himself in the poorhouse in no time. Mm-hmm. But with Janelle, she was way more conservative with the money. And she would be the one, I need to go buy a new one. No, we're fine with the one we have, the sleeping bag. We need a new sleeping bag. I'm not going to spend one night and never go camping again in this. No, we can use this sleeping bag and some blankets and we'll be fine.
Do you think that Kody is that conscious, though, to recognize some sort of deficit in himself that he needs to have a partner to compensate for? Because I think his self-impression is that he's got it all together and he can do it all at all times. My personal theory is that they were very sexual together. I think our queen Janelle knew how to lay it low and spread it wide, Huddy. I think they had, there's only like when you find somebody who you have that kind of hot chemistry with. I mean, and he stuck with Robyn. Okay. And I don't want to be rude or anything, but like, I can't imagine how fantastic and how many fireworks are going off in that bedroom. But like with Janelle, I think it was pretty great. And I think that he does miss that connection and the emotional part of that, which I think was probably very real between them. What do you think?
I don't know. I think like when James was talking about how maybe Janelle brought him down to reality a little bit with finances and kind of grounded him a little bit, I actually can kind of see that. And, to your point, James, about like picking a partner that kind of balances you out a little bit, it would make sense why maybe him and Christine and him and Mary had so much conflict, because he's like both of them in their own different ways. Like people have commented on our YouTube channel with him and Christine, like they're both kind of loud, obnoxious sometimes. No hate to Christine, but like they're both like loud and bombastic a little bit in their energy and kind of crazy. And so that those both would clash each other. And then with him and Mary, they're both freaking hard-headed people. And I think Kody didn't like how hard-headed and critical Mary was, and so he was over it. But with Janelle, maybe there's that sexual component,
soft
or maybe there's
land.
Also the financial, like grounding, soft place to land. Oh my god! But no, maybe there's that financial and like grounding aspect to her that he misses, because Robyn is over here high on Ambien and buying $60,000 worth of dolls on Etsy. So like, what's going on there?
Well, because I would acknowledge the fact that I think both can be true. I don't think that he has the self-awareness to look at it and say, you know what I need to do? I need to get a woman who's more responsible. Like, I don't think that's happening. But I do think that he liked the fact that when he was with Janelle, bills would get paid. Like, there were certain things. What did Kody say when he was doing the home sale? He said, and they were talking about, oh, who helped you with the presentation? And implying that Robyn did it because she totally did it. And what did he say to her? He said, just because I know how to cook my own breakfast, like, ladies, I know how to cook my own breakfast, but that doesn't mean I like to. And I'd rather have you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he does know how to cook his own breakfast, but I think he thinks he does. I think that he thinks he can take care of the bills, but he likes for Janelle to do it because she's you know, he can toss those bills off to her and they'll get taken care of because that's beneath him. But realistically, he needs her to do it. Now, with regard to the sex stuff, I wouldn't doubt that she was curling his toes up. I don't doubt that at all.
I feel that.
I think she was breaking him off. Like, I do think she was
Stop
breaking him off.
I do think so too.
I think she was breaking him off. Right.
There's a sensual quality to her. She seems very intentional
Torian.
in her affections.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the fact that, remember when Kody said early on, he was like, oh, she's like my buddy. She's like one of my bros.
Yes.
Yeah, one of your bros that you be banging apparently, but because you got 6 kids. But at the end of the day, he might also, I think people looked at that and said, oh, that's because they always talk business. It could also be because of their appetites, like their sexual appetites. Like she might, like what they would consider to be a masculine trait of like being overtly sexual. She might be overtly sexual. Like she's trying to get it in. She just don't talk about it.
Right.
And I think that could be a part of the compatibility. And if you also, you know, not to read too much into it, as I read too much into it, there is the point where when Robyn had her baby, she had Solomon on on the screen, like watching labor. That was awesome too back in the day. But she would have, and she went and she's just pushing and she ain't making no noise. There was no expression. It was just like dead face, like because she wasn't supposed to. And if she's and from what I understand, her mom had congratulated her for not making noise during the birth of the child. And if that also carries over to time in the boudoir, where she's very reserved, you know, Janelle might be screaming and pulling the paint off the walls, and Robyn might be like, you know, Miss Mannequin. So he might miss that aspect of it too. Because
didn't they say they had like a sexual renaissance when they were in Las Vegas?
In Vegas, yeah, they did.
right.
Yeah,
On that new
Janelle.
mattress that they bought together.
Yeah, Janelle. And Kody.
Yeah, that new fresh mattress.
Yeah.
I think there was a period of time when they were having a really good time, if you know what I mean. And I can't see. I imagine that would be an absence in his life because I just can't see it with Robyn and the way she comports herself, and she doesn't seem like a very open, expressive, sexual person to me. So he probably does miss Janelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he does. Like, because
And
at
she's
the end
beautiful.
of the day, there is a like. I think that there's that part of you that when you're a young man, and I hate to say it this way, but Kody is kind of immature. When you're a young man, you may a young person. I want to say young man. You be a young person, and there are people who you could have dated, but you missed that opportunity because maybe they didn't have the look that you wanted, they weren't wearing the clothes that you wanted, or whatever the case may be. So you turn that down. But you realize when you got older, like that person was cool as hell, and that was a missed opportunity. And I think that when he sees Janelle, she's a missed opportunity because even though you had it, sometimes you don't know you missing something until you don't have it no more. You don't have access to it anymore. And then all of a sudden it's like, damn, I messed that up. You know, funny story time. I knew a kid. He had twins, identical twins, right? That he went to school with. One girl liked him, right? The other girl didn't. The one that didn't like him, that he was attracted to, she was very put together. She had all the tags and the labels, and she wore the fashionable stuff, had her hair done a certain way. The other girl, identical twin, was more of a tomboy. Like she was more of an athlete. So she wore a lot of sweats. that kind of thing. She didn't get dressed up. And when it came time for them to go on a prom, the tomboy had asked him to go to the prom with her. He turned her down because he wanted to go with her sister. And my whole thing was, dude, they look exactly alike. The only difference is that one, the tomboy, because she does all the sports, she might actually have a better body underneath all them sweats. Two, she actually fucking likes you. Why would you waste your time on somebody who doesn't care about you, doesn't look at you twice because you're not her style? The one who likes you wants to go out with you. So for him, that was a missed opportunity. And looking at Kody in this situation, Robyn is about Robyn. Janelle was about the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at it like a sex stuff aside, financial responsibility aside, just the mental mindset that the two women bring to the table, bruh, one is a builder, the other one's a taker. One you could build a life with, you could build an empire with. The other one is going to spend you broke. And she's going to leave you before the bill gets to the damn door. She's going to run your credit cards up, and then before the bill gets there, she's going to take off. Well, me and Tom we got stuff to do. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here.
You got to go.
Let you get that mail. You know what I mean? Let me get my boxes, my Amazon boxes out of your way. Like, no. Like, so I think he dropped the ball on that one. Like, I just, I don't know. Maybe it's like an old head thing. Like, dude, you messing up.
No,
That's
I
the
think
one
so
you want.
as well. Like when Janelle walked into Christine's engagement party in that pretty pink dress, I was like, oh, she's so happy. She's so pretty. She's so vibrant. Like, oh, Kody, you dropped the ball.
She's the one that got away.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think she's always going to be the one that got away. And so when Robyn leaves, when the money runs dry, the question is, and somebody called on our speak pipe on our channel saying, do we think that Kody ends up just kind of dying alone? Like, are any of these kids going to be around to show up for him when he's got nothing and Robyn's no longer there? And I assume all the kids are going to go with her or whatever. Like, are any of these other kids going to show up for him? And I'm like, maybe Savannah, little angel Savannah, maybe one or two of them, but probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. The sad part about it, because I had said before that I think Robyn's going to leave before the money runs out. Like, when I say she's going to leave before the money runs out, what I'm referring to specifically is I can see a situation where they have the mortgage on a $2.1 million house. I can see a situation where she sues Kody as part of the divorce decree because they are married. And of course, she's going to try to get as much as she can for child support. Then she'll sue Kody and then take a good, healthy portion of that equity, any equity that remains in that house, and anything that he has in the bank. Like, she's going to try to take a lion's share of that. Still probably wind up spinning through it, no doubt. But I think she's going to financially ruin him. But what's even worse than that, when she leaves, if you notice from any of the relationships that we've seen on TV or connected to the show, when she even before the show or talked about on the show, when she leaves a relationship, she burns that relationship down. She burns that person down. Whether it's her ex-husband, when Christine and Janelle and Mary left, they were the worst people in the world. Not only did they not get along, but they were abusive, which is a whole different other accusation. It's not that we didn't get along because we didn't like each other as people and we argued, but they were mean and nasty to me. They were abusing me and my children psychologically. They were physically abusive to my kids. They were bullying them. They didn't never make them feel like they were part of the family. They tormented my children. This is what she's been saying. So when Kody leaves, bruh, you need to pay attention to how she fights when she departs. Because when she leaves you, you're going to be the worst person in the world. You know what I mean? So not only is she going to take him financially, she's going to take his what little reputation he has left, with her. So
One can only hope,
Couldn't
honestly.
happen to a better person.
Honestly. But to your point, people have commented about their $2.1 million mansion and how that might have been bought to kind of placate Robyn and be like, oh, look, no, we're doing really well. Like, I'm still providing for you. Because if Robyn truly does only care about money and assets and fame and all of this stuff, maybe that's why Kody made the purchase that he did. And he's selling all of those cameos for $150 a pop to try and make any extra money that he can, because he wants to satiate her. And if the money dries up, she totally will ruin him. And I hope to God for that.
You can't wish for ill.
I am going to
That
wish
stuff
for ill.
bounces back
It's
on you.
justice. I'm wishing for justice
Yes.
for Kody Brown.
Fairness and justice.
That's what I wish.
Yes.
Yeah, well, because I think that it's also telling that because he did the Kody did the Mormonism Live podcast where
Yes.
he came out and he said, oh well, women, the way they work, which is also awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
apparently you have no clue how women work, brother.
Mansplain a womanhood to me. Thank you.
Right. The way women work, he was like, women are hypergamous. So all they're interested in is money and trying to position themselves better financially and socially. And they use men to do it. And I think that it was very revealing. Sometimes an accusation is the actual confession, because what he was revealing to us is that is the relationship that he's in. And when he talks about this is how women approach relationships, he's not talking about women. He's talking about Robyn. So in order for me to make Robyn happy, I have to have a certain level of money. I have to be doing a certain thing financially in order for her to want to stay with me. And the second I'm not doing that thing, she's going to leave me for somebody else who can do it. And I think that that's accurate with the person that he's talking about.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about it in the realm of Robyn, because I thought about it in the realm of like the OG3, because he wanted to villainize them of like, they're just gold diggers. All they wanted was my money and everything.
Right.
And I just didn't love them. Like, they could have just dealt with that. But that's actually a really good point, because maybe it is him revealing his relationship with Robyn, because we know her to be like that with all of her all of the footage that we have from her from even season 1. And if you think about it too, like, she came into the family at the best time when they started getting rich really quickly off of Sister Wives and then getting into the Las Vegas homes and everything. And she said, I think in season 6, what we're covering right now, like, my kids have never had it this good. We've never known a life like this. So that would make a lot of sense. Robyn's the gold digger.
Right.
And so I wonder,
Well,
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I wonder how much of what Kody does is from a place of fear, because whether consciously or unconsciously, he realizes this is the woman that he's with. And this is also what she's capable of, because of course, you're right. He definitely saw what Robyn did to David Jessup. And so like, he feels like, I've got to do these things, as you say, I've got to provide a certain kind of standard, a certain lifestyle. Otherwise she's going to take it all and she's going to ruin me. And so maybe it's not this bravado and this confidence. Maybe he's fucking afraid. You know,
he should be,
he should be.
You are. Sometimes fear is unfounded. Sometimes fear is what keeps you alive, brother. You know, because when you look at it, even when a lot of his accusations are things that actually apply to Robyn that he's mislabeling applying to the OG3. When he said that Christine, when she left, she's going to take Truly away. And I'm not going to be able to see her because you're going to get somebody else. And then I'm not going to be able to see my kid. I want to be able to see my kid. That's what Robyn did to her ex-husband. When she said that, when he was saying that, they're interested in me for money and they're trying to get the money. These 3 women got with him and they were like we talked about earlier. These women got with you when you had jack shit. You moved in with Janelle. Like you and Mary moved in with Janelle into her house. So I don't know how you think that she was coming after you, begging to join your family when you didn't have anything to offer. Then when Christine joined you, all 3 of you guys living in a trailer together, you guys were broke as hell. Like, there's nobody marrying you for your stuff at that point. You know what I mean? So when you talk about like Robyn coming into the family, she joined the family because you were about to get a TV show. She joined the family because all of a sudden you were about to come into a whole bunch of money. She joined the family and you guys were sitting on Good Morning America, Oprah Winfrey, and every other TV show, Joy Behar, everywhere else. And you were known across the country. Your faces were all over newspapers and magazines and the little shopping aisle. That's why Robyn joined the family. So when Kody levels that against them, he's actually talking about Robyn. When he said that you're interested in money and you're going to take money from me because you're trying to get money, what are these women? What money are they trying to get? They're trying to get what they're owed. And I'm sure Robyn is in his ear. You see, they trying to come after you for all your money. That's all they want is your money. That's all they want, honey, is your money. They want their stuff. Christina's suing you for child support. Yeah, the support you should be providing your child. She's not suing you for something she's not due or owed. She's owed that money. That's her money she's asking for. When these women are talking about Kody Pass, you're not giving them anything. You're not gifting them property or money. You're giving them back the money that they've already invested. Technically, you're only giving them back a fraction of what you actually owe them. So you're actually winning. But Robyn is the one who has been sucking money out of the financial fund the entire time, right along with Kody. Because I don't think it's just Robyn. I think Cody's also doing it. But I do think that it's her. I think it's her that he's talking about.
Wow.
That's really interesting. I never thought about it like that, but now I'm gonna watch all of these previous episodes and watch this season again with that perspective, because maybe it will shed more light into his actual relationship with Robyn. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Robyn, like I said, she's not a mystery. Kody is crazy, but she's not a mystery.
No, she's not. She's not. And she's also dumb.
Yeah.
She tries to throw the rocks and hide her hands, but it's just so obvious. And I guess some of the previews that we're seeing from her conversation with Sukiyana, she's just like, whatever. Okay, then that's fine. Sort of has a different attitude of I'm just not going to defend myself. I'm not going to, or if I do, I'm going to lie. And if you don't believe it, then whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because Robyn also has the curious perspective of when she does these kind of things, she'll say, no matter what happens, somehow she's not only the victim of somebody else's cruelty, but she is also the hero of the story because of her patience, her kindness, and her understanding. I've been trying to sacrifice to make everybody's life better, but they're tearing me down, but I'm going to keep doing the right thing. So you're the victim and the hero in the story every time. You never do anything wrong. And I think that that's part of what and one of the crazier things I think happens too is that Kody has spent so much time with Robyn that he's also adopting her perspective, where everything, before he was Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, now he's Mr. Down in the Dumps, because that's where Robyn comes in, and that's her approach to life. So everything is I'm such a victim and this terrible thing has happened. And now he's taking on that persona. And so when you talk about where he was in the beginning to where he is now, I think that that's also part of the substantive change, because before he was Mr. Everything's going to be all right. Now he's Mr. Everything is terrible, is horrible, and I'm a victim. And these people are against me and everybody's against me and trying to ruin me. Right. And I think that also impacts his relationship with his wives and his kids.
Totally, 100%. And and so I think that underscores my theory that it's Robyn, that it's Robyn that's the one, that it's Robyn that's what she's got the big plan, she's got the long game, and he's just stupid enough, he's enough of a mark and a moron to do her bidding and think it's his brilliant idea, and it's not. And as soon as it doesn't work out anymore, she's gone.
Yeah. And like I said, when I say that Robyn's going to leave early, what I'm referring to specifically is that Robyn actually puts me in mind of the type of person who is there for the good times, but they're not there for the struggle. She'll ride with you while you have that fat check showing up, while you're in the big car, living in the big house, got the nice zip code and all that. She's down 100%. And she'll probably even talk that good shit. Oh, I'm a ride or die. I'm all about this relationship, blah, blah, blah. She'll do all that. But as soon as your check come up short, or you get laid off, or you get them eviction notice papers, she's not there when the moving trucks show up.
Yeah, but she's really short-sighted, because she doesn't bring anything to the table. All she brought to the table with this family was a Victoria's Secret debt and a bunch of other debt
and breakdancing
and her hat in her hand. and her diesel jeans. And that's really all she has. I mean, she doesn't have a whole lot of work experience. She doesn't have a special skill. Like, it's not like they get a divorce and she goes into some sort of high-powered corporate position. She's going to have nothing. And she's also, what she traded on to get into the relationship, which was her beauty and her looks and her sweet, sweet punanner. I mean, that's going to be lower, and that's going to be lower in value by the time you're 50, 55. Sorry, it just is. It's not going to be as valuable as it was when you were in your 20s and your 30s. And so that's what you're offering. That's what you're bringing. And I don't know who's going to be buying that. So that's the only reason I think Robyn, if there's one reason that she would stay with Kody to try and make it work, because she would have nowhere else to go unless she was reassigned within the AUB. Like, the leader of the AUB is like, okay, well, you can go over here with Mark up in Wyoming, and this is your new life. And maybe she'll do that. But what else would she be able to do?
Right. Well, I think that there's also a facet of that where she's not used to losing. Because when she came into the family, she was still young. And then her experience while she was in the family, she was always preferred. And so I think that she just doesn't have that experience to where she actually hit, like, reality hasn't really smacked her yet. You know what I mean? Because the whole time, like when she was young, from what I understand, the story around the campfire, word on the curb, was that Preston, her previous husband, was actually dating or interested in her sister. But he had a business and he had an opportunity. So she swiped him.
Oh.
You know, got pregnant, and then bingo bango, they got married. Then when it was like she blows through his money, and it seems like, okay, Robyn is finally going to learn her lesson because she blew through this guy's money, destroyed his business, put him in crazy debt, and she's finally going to learn. And she was able to land a man who had a TV show and an additional amount of money, and she actually did better than she was when she was with Preston. And so, like, and then when wives leave, all of a sudden, like you said, I think that is an interesting point, that maybe Kody did buy her the $2.1 million house because he wanted to get her in something nice to make her think that we're actually moving up. And so, you know, she gets the $1.7 million house, an $800,000 house McMansion. Then she gets the $2.1 million shit show chateau. And now she thinks she's bossing up. You know, so she's still riding high, but she hasn't hit that plateau yet where she's actually coming down.
Well, you
and
know,
I think that's going to be horrifying.
What they say about pride, it comes before a fall.
Right.
I think we can all, like, read the tea leaves here, or the writing on the wall. And I would be hard pressed to imagine that somewhere inside, if she isn't panicking a little bit, like, okay, what's the game plan? Like, what's the next step? Broken down beatbox. What is that? What does that mean?
That's talking about the breakdancing.
Oh, okay. You know, my first husband was a breakdancer. It's how he lured me in. Yeah, he'd pop locking, and he was lockboxing and breakdancing. And so was Robyn.
Like, he double jointed.
I'm like, ooh, okay. He's flexible. He's got rhythm. Yeah, but I think it's going to be cataclysmic, catastrophic, and so delicious.
Well, and if she does actually leave him, and she actually leaves him with some assets or like money, there's still a chance where she could still kind of win, because if she gets out with money and she's not upside down on anything, then she's still getting out a little scot-free. But like I said earlier, I think they're financing everything. I don't even know if they have any money liquid. So I feel like even if she does leave him, and if she's stupid enough to not know anything about their finances, and she ends up with a bunch of debt, maybe that's what keeps her there. Maybe that's why she doesn't leave, because she knows she'll be screwed hardcore if she does.
Right. Well, because I almost get the feeling like, and this is the weird part about it, I almost get the feeling like she ignores a lot of it. So she just operates like nothing is wrong, and she just continually puts it off on Kody. So you know, I'm gonna keep running these bills, because if she was aware of her financial situation, she would have slowed down a lot of that spending, but she doesn't. You know what I mean? So I think she's actually operating from a place of willful ignorance, to where she just keeps spending like she doesn't understand what's actually happening. Like this show, you know, in a weird way, I kind of even think that not only does she not realize that this show might end, or probably will end, I think she's under the impression that if this show does end, she'll get other opportunities. She might even think that this show is actually holding her back from getting those big opportunities, solo opportunities, that she can go out and make more money.
Okay, maybe on Marriage Boot Camp, but I'm not seeing anything else for
Right.
her.
What about Dancing
Yeah,
with the
I just don't
Stars?
see it.
Dancing with the Stars? Oh gosh,
She could beatbox.
break dancing with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stars.
Breakdance, yeah.
You know, break dance and just rip her pants
Oh,
off.
goodness.
But even then, like I don't, because even the because I'd heard the prospect of her or Kody possibly being on the show Villains, but I don't think they would be on that show because they would have to acknowledge that they're actually
That's right.
villains,
Yeah, they're
you
not
know.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't foresee that either. Plus, I mean, to be honest with you, the way they're tied into each other, I think the irrefutable disaster of this particular show, or they're starring on this show, is that they need to have their personalities offset with the OG3. Like they need them, because without them, like just watching Kody and Robyn, they are terrible. Like they're boring.
Absolutely terrible. Yep, drivel.
Super boring, yeah.
Yeah, they're boring. They need the OG3 because they're actually with all of them together. There's a chemistry that happens. You know, they don't like each other enough to where it's interesting to watch to see who's going to do what or say what, or if somebody going to lose their shit and actually say what's on their mind. This might be the season. That's interesting. But to watch Kody and Robyn sit there and talk about like what getting a kid baptized, like they 30-year-old daughter, we're gonna take her down and get her baptized. Like who, you know, what am I watching? Like really,
they're in for a rude awakening if they. And I believe they probably think they're killing it. Like people are so interested to see what's happening in their church community and like what's happening with their new house or whatever. And absolutely not. I'm not. We cover this professionally, but like I would be if they had a spinoff in any way. I can't imagine covering it and just garnering up even a modicum of interest to watch these two very boring people. No, thank you.
right,
No,
right.
no.
Well, because it'll be heavily produced. You know what they remind me of? Because you said before that you watch like a lot of the Bravo stuff. Um, I don't know if you remember. There was a young lady by the name of Kim Zolciak who was
Of
on
course,
Atlanta.
yes. The ring
Yeah,
doesn't mean a thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Don't be tardy for the party.
that's right.
But but there was a young lady named Kim Zolciak. She was on the reality show Real Housewives of Atlanta. She married a football player by the name of Croy Bierman. He played for the Atlanta Falcons. They got their own show. And when they got their own show, that was the worst thing that could have happened to them because their entire show was just basically them trying to agree with each other. And that just made for terrible TV. And I think that if Robyn and Kody got their own show, that's exactly what they would do. They would just sit around. There wouldn't be a whole lot of conflict. It would be tension because you could see that there's a problem, but they don't want to talk about it on screen. So it'd just be a lot of fake ass smiles and them pretending to do activities together that nobody really wants to watch. And that show will get canceled within a season, if not a season
but like
and a half.
Kim Zolciak's show went on for like 6 or 7 seasons. It was on for a really long
Right.
time for as bad as it was. And with TLC, you just never know. They'll just keep platforming these bozos on and on and on.
Was she as hated as Kody and Robyn though?
No.
So that's the thing. It's like I feel like Kody and Robyn are such narcissists that they have to be reading the comments and seeing what people are saying. I mean, literally the whole world hates them. Like I don't think I've ever met anybody that's like, yeah, no, I think Cody's actually a good guy. No, actually, I think Robyn's really awesome. Like I don't think anybody really likes them. So they have to know nobody would want to watch their crap because they're so unlikable and hateable.
I don't know if they would know that. I think they're stuck in Delulu land.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know.
Well,
I do know that I
look,
have to go here shortly because I
no,
have
no,
to.
that's no worries.
I have to go here shortly because I'm gonna go to Sleepy's. Mima needs to go to Sleepy's.
No, that's no worries. We got rocked it out for almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
I know.
But I will say this. I will say this just in kind of the closing it out. I think that the tell-all, when you're talking about the tell-all, part of the reason why, like, and I think we've kind of inferred this through some of the conversation, that part of what the tell-all needs and part of the reason why people want to see them all on a couch together is because that will provide some level of closure for the audience members. Like, because right now, a lot of us are sitting around and we're talking about how this isn't fair, that's not fair, this is outrageous, that's ridiculous, I can't believe this happened, and we're completely outraged. But what we want to see and what we hunger for, and I'm speaking for a lot of folks, but I think I'm speaking mainly for myself. What I hunger for is I want to see these ladies get their swan song. I want to see them come in and let Kody and Robyn know what they've done and how it's affected not only them, but how it's affected their kids and why they're shit people for doing what they did. And until they actually get up and do it, I don't think that any of us will ever be satisfied. I don't think that they're ever going to get the money that they deserve out of Kody and Robyn. I don't think they're ever going to get the money they deserve out of Kody Pass. I don't think they're ever going to get any money from from the McMansion. So the one thing that we could get is possibly them coming in and just being completely honest with them on the couch.
And I'll take that one step further, like let the kids come too, because these kids were exploited for years, paid nothing, unless maybe Christine ran them a little bit of money or Kody ran Gwen a little bit of money. But these kids were not paid for all of the content that they generated for this family and for TLC. So like get the kids on there, get Maddie on there, get the kids who are angry and who have something to say. Like, I want to hear it. Like, I want that to be platformed, and I would absolutely watch that. Totally. I would love to watch that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. On that. Before we go, let me just get some we had some super chats come in.
Okay.
We get those. We have Lori Herbst with $9.99 super chat. Late to the party, but I love this. Do you think Kody believed he had an NDE, near-death experience, as in Lori Vallow, Ruby Frank NDE craziness when he had COVID? I think that might explain a lot. Do I think he was scared he was going to die? No, I think he was being a punk. I think he was just looking for attention. If anything, and I'll get you guys' opinion on it, but I think that if anything, the one thing that he missed while he was having his COVID experience is the fact that everybody didn't drop what they were doing and come gather around him and worship around him while he was sick. I think that's what he missed, like them stopping everything they're doing.
How? He wouldn't let them in the house. They're supposed to maintain 6 feet. Would they have to gather in the driveway like every other scene they ever filmed and just shout their praises and worship? Yes.
Yeah,
the answer is yes.
Look through the window.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
We love you, Kody. Get better soon. Yeah. Well, let me give a. Oh, did you have something to say, B?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think he was being a drama queen. I think he just wanted the attention. Yeah. And it was just an excuse for him to say, yeah, this is why I don't want to see you for 9 months out of the year, because I had a near-death experience and I almost died on my couch. I didn't even have to be hospitalized. I almost died.
98.8.
Exactly.
All right.
Temperature.
All right. I had the sniffles, and you guys wouldn't come around bring me soup. Even though you know I don't like soup, but I don't care. But let me give Lori a little something. Then we had Lizzie B with the $5 super chat. Remember to subscribe to Reality TV Cringe podcast. The link is right here. Thank you so much, Lizzie B. She's one of my mega mods. Holding her player down.
Thank you.
Let me give Lizzie a little something, because she's awesome. All right. Then we had Brittany Not Brittany with the $4.99 super chat. Riddle me how Robyn's priorities were better than Janelle's with $60,000 on Etsy, allegedly, and no money to pay off Kody Pass.
Seriously.
So I guess that's a reference to when Robyn had said
the budget.
I just know how to budget better, and
right.
And then these heifers know how to save money. I guess they had different priorities.
Right.
Like, yeah, paying everybody's bills.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. Let me give it a little something. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Gotta get it. Oh, here it is.
That's great.
Brittany Not Brittany is also one of my super mods, mega mods in the house. Then Crystal Manning, what's going on? $10 super chat. Now, James, the shy pretty wife would never dance on a TV show.
I bet she would.
She's in them private movies. She's a private dancer. You know
Yeah.
that's like
Oh, ew.
she's a private dancer, but only for her best customer.
Gross.
She gonna do that pop locking, and then that's gonna be it right there. You don't know what to do with yourself.
Oh God.
Put your hands on the table. All right, here we go. And then we have
Is
one
that
more.
a dancing lesbian? It looks like a dancing lesbian. Yeah, we love a lesbian now.
Getting it popping.
Oh God.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Crystal's awesome. Then we have Lizzie B gifted one My Take on Reality membership. Thank you so much, Lizzie B, for your generosity. Hopefully somebody can benefit from that. Don't forget to check me out on Mondays where I release my Motivational Mondays videos for the members. And then I usually release the to the public by Wednesday. So you make sure you check back for that. And I want to give Lizzie a little something in appreciation for the fantasticness. Thank you so much.
That's great.
All right. Before we go, let me ask you guys, did you guys have anything that you had going on that folks should look out for? Clearly, make sure you guys, anybody who's not subscribed, make sure you check out Reality TV Cringe podcast. It's an awesome show. You can subscribe to it. The link is down below. Did you guys have anything coming up that folks should keep an eye out for?
Nothing like coming up. We do have a Patreon where we recap other trashy shows. Currently, we are recapping 1,000 Pound Best Friends. We also really love Couples Therapy with Dr. Orna. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I think you would
Very
actually
good.
love that, James,
You would love
because
it.
you tend to psychologize, and it's such a good show. You can watch that on Prime or you can watch that on Paramount Plus. But we have covered Gypsy Sisters,
90 Day Fiance.
My 600 Pound Life. I mean, so many reality shows. So
Yeah.
we would love to see you there. But that's it. That's all we're doing. And of course, we're on YouTube and we post every week and we just have a lot of fun. I mean, let's keep it light. Let's laugh a lot.
Yeah.
The world
There you
needs to
go.
laugh now more than ever.
Right. And I will agree that in agreement to that, I think that YouTube, I've said this before, especially in commemoration to my awesome chat. You guys keep it super chill in the chat. That YouTube is a place that you should go for fun. You should never be stressed out watching a YouTube video.
Yes.
Because if you are, life is stressful enough. You don't need, people messing you up or whatever. So yeah, just having conversations, having fun. And if anything, talking about stuff and just reminding yourself of certain things, ideas, where you are as far as what's going on in your life, and even maybe taking some of the lessons that we see on some of these shows and apply it to situations that are happening to us. We talked earlier about like Christine and Janelle and Mary staying in a relationship for too long that isn't feeding their minds, their hearts, their souls. And as we enter into our personal relationships or work relationships, and you aren't getting the things you need out of that situation or that environment, having a mindset that if you're not getting what you need and it's not feeding your soul, your body, or your wallet, then it's time to bounce, So I will give you that. But before we go, let me give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This was awesome.
It was so much
I
fun.
can convince the ladies to come back and partake again. We definitely got to get together and talk about this poly family thing.
Oh my
That's
God,
gonna be
yes.
ridiculous.
I would love
Hot
to.
mess.
Yes.
I would love to.
But also want to make sure I thank the mega mods. We have Lizzie B in the house. We had Carmel Cuties in the house. And of course, we had Brittany in the house, holding it down, keeping everything cool in the chat. I want to thank you guys so much for playing with us, enjoying us. Hopefully we laughed a little, we talked a lot, and we thought some. And hopefully we made if we didn't make sense of this silly situation, at least maybe we put a smile on your face. All right. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Welcome to the Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality. And of course, we had a Reality TV Cringe ladies in the house. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. this, yeah.